Welcome back, everybody. Or welcome, everybody, if it's your first time joining us, to the Two Perception Show and our playthrough of The Age of Ashes here on twitch.tv/FierceLePaizo. Quick check, is your camera frozen? It's not. Cool.
No.
I believe we may potentially have fixed that, which are words that I hate saying because I feel like those words precede it not being fixed 10 times out of 10. But we have some temporary shenanigans here to get this to a level of functional. So we apologize for the giant amount of cords that are just hanging down behind
Really, we only have to
dull Reddit
apologize
resume
to
here.
Jen.
Yeah, it's really you that I should be apologizing to. You have the great pile of cords dangling down behind you, and
It's okay.
there's nothing I can do about that at the moment because we have shot through about 1 billion possible configurations to try and figure out why this camera was freezing in the first place, and I think we've settled it. I think. Is it fixed? It definitely will be next week. It probably is this week. But I have at least diagnosed the issue, which is step 1 of tech support. So, before we begin today's adventures, before we dive back into this, kind of on this same token of the technical issues and the cameras and whatnot, I want to thank everyone here who has been putting up with us trying to sort out this setup. It has been a project. I know that the technical side of things so far has been far from perfect, but it's something we've been working on since Fall of Plaguestone on my own channel, sorting out most of it. Super thanks to anyone who sat through that debacle. That was actually just an unwatchable mess, and I'm completely unclear why anybody was in the chat for that. But
Us little group of dumpster monkeys.
we have brought it together. We are getting our things solved. We're working through these problems one at a time and trying to really just adapt to a wholly new situation here. This really is something that's completely out of my wheelhouse, completely out of all of my streaming and production experience for years. Like none of it applies to this setup because it's just so different, and everyone is at this table doing physical things with actual dice, and it's all just a completely different situation. So thanks to all of you guys who have put up with our growing pains as we get everything sorted out. So I wanted to start this session before we go into the intro and the recap, before we get into the gameplay here, thanking not just, well, everyone who has supported us in any way, but a special shout out to those of us who went through with the Patreon that we put up recently and are putting up with me personally having literally no idea how to run a Patreon. It is at the moment a site that is available and has rewards. And I promise you, I have this great list of minor NPC names for all of you who are on the $5 tier or higher. And I have been going through them. A lot of you have mentioned the Discord afterwards, that you caught your name, you showing up for someone, the town guard that had to put up with Sal Sartad and the rest of the party listening to Sal Sartad, for instance. But special shout outs to those of you who have given us the mega support, the way more than I could ever ask of anyone, and have contributed some of these larger NPC names here, like the aforementioned Sal Sartad, brought to us by Jake the Impaler. So you can all thank him for that contribution to our campaign.
Thanks, Jake, for taking a stab at us.
I love it. It was actually beautiful. It's my favorite random interjection that has ever happened. And I apologize if I butchered his name, Joe Calmain giving us the head counselor, Baltus Burton of Breachill, and for Storm Ruler giving us Tyrannus Horde.
Oh.
The
I
Hell
love
Knight
that
Armiger,
name. You did good.
who has been following around with us for the last couple of
I
sessions.
did not know that was
That's
that was a Patreon name.
There
That's
are-
so cool.
pretty dope.
Several more that have not quite yet been revealed, but they are coming. And I also missed in all of the hoopla of the Boggard attack last week that I got another villain point actually mid-combat. And
You suck.
You're like, make them suffer.
at the moment I was really preoccupied on am I gonna TPK them? Which is a thing I had to worry about and figure how to run that encounter. And I mean, I didn't really have to hold back. You guys made it. It was the bad times, but I had concerns and I was very personally invested in them. But Link 1429 Gave me actually the second villain point in that session. He gave me 2 consecutively.
Oh, wow. All right, he's going to be our
Which
nemesis.
he is what was the War for the Crown party's nemesis previously. So, take your coins, you filthy animals.
Please, sir.
Take your session rerolls.
Give me porridge.
I believe to start off here, Resume still has 1 hero point from last week, where Buford has 2.
I have Taraka and Arcades.
And I've got 4 more in the chest. Kados has got 4 more. So where there's no restrictions at the moment, there's no limitations, feel free to spend your... I'm still going to call it GP, even though it's channel point GP now. It's a different flavor of GP, but it's still GP at the end of the day on those. And you will notice that in the interest of not turbo murdering everybody, I have segregated the hero point and the villain point options, and by I mean Peyton. Thanks for doing that, but I obviously have to do everything through him because he controls the channel. So the villain point option is both separate and marginally more expensive than giving the players hero points.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
Thank you, thank you.
If you're hanging out watching just our Age of Ashes streams here on the channel and nothing else, I'm just going to reiterate what I said last week. You should be able to participate somewhat in our show by giving out a hero point every few sessions. If you're subscribed to the channel, which doubles your income of the channel points, it shouldn't take you more than 3 or 4 sessions of hanging out watching the Age of Ashes, and just the Age of Ashes. That's not even counting all the rest of the content on this channel that you could be watching and also gaining channel points, and it's also cool Pathfinder stuff, because this is Paizo's channel in case you're lost and aren't sure where you are or how you got here. Everything is cool Pathfinder or Starfinder stuff.
That's me.
Every 3 or 4 sessions, you should have enough to hand it a hero point, and every, 5-ish, you should have enough to make me do miserable things to these people. So.
Oh, God. Just stop and play the
I feel
intro.
like I'm in a giant dunking
Don't
tank
give them
right
any
now.
more ideas. Just don't.
No, that's largely what we're doing here. Yeah, you are on display based on what I learned from having the GP and the chat's ability to donate hero points during the year and a half of the War for the Crown. You are on display for me to dunk upon you, because I think we actually had an even 50-50 split between hero points that were given to the entirety of the party and hero points that were given to me directly, largely by 2 or 3 heavy-duty suppliers. Who come through repeatedly and give me lots of villain points. But with that, let us get into today's episode of The Age of Ashes. Previously, in the Age of Ashes. Balekane bakaba samaile ole, meba batile earona.
And it's the same with the strange birds in the hallway, and even the dragon dog. It was also very tropical.
What would Mwangi currency be doing here?
Well, that would explain where these creatures came from. They certainly are dressed like it.
You hear screeching monkeys? Rematla, re leboto, re ne re emeretile pelabona. Your suspicions, it turns out, as adventurers, are not unfounded, as with a screech, a rain of monkeys shakes out from this cloth treehouse.
Well, we have at least
At
2 other
that,
captives we may
with
ask.
a smashing noise, the door is blasted open to yet more boggards. But that's a 1 on the die, so we only hit you for 7.
Yeah, I'm still down.
And he's gonna knock Resme to the floor unconscious. Woof. 7. It's a 1 on the die.
Nope, that is too many.
And
I go down.
Buford will go down. Okay, we'll go down. 7. And then 11. He's gonna take 18 damage. And Tyrannus is gonna go down. Empa ketelong. Re ile rahloleha.
Summon all of her magical strength and pull down another triple magic missile before probably passing out from all of the exertion.
He's taken 25 damage. Boggard warriors have 38 health.
Did someone say exactly?
Resme, what do you do?
Resme calling on all of the
17. I failed by 1.
You run into the room, push past Ver.
You're looking at
and Tyrannus
Buford is turtling.
Step into the grease distract by Buford turtling and just slip and fall on your back. You are now prone.
So this is what it feels like. Esvis is just going. So Esvis is going to just look upside down. Oh, and.
He's talented. Don't question
turn
him.
It sideways and freehand it backwards over your head and just
hunt prey first.
You
didn't see this. And
no witnesses.
And
It was a ride, I would say, last week. We had the highs, we had the lows. We went through largely the entire spectrum of human emotion as we went from just flipping over in Greece and having a great time fighting some of these monkey creatures and these boggards in a hallway to fighting for our actual lives when the boggards ambushed us when we tried to rest. But we had broken that wave. And when we left off last week, after defeating the trio of boggards who had crashed at the door, I believe it was Delren actually had taken some of his climbing pythons to attempt to seal not just one, but 2 tiers of doors closed, hammering them into the stone floor so that at the very least you would have a lot of advance warning because they have to break through a door 20 feet of hallway away from where you have sheltered yourselves in this last chamber with this strange pile of rubble and stone and coin and various shiny bits and this tunnel that looks like it's been started digging into the eastern wall. You had sheltered and you'd rested and you'd started to tend to your wounds. And as we pick up here today, well, we're there. We're some time into our shelter. We haven't heard really anything.
And we are alive.
And
we are alive.
The halls underneath Citadel Altarian had fallen almost completely silent. Where previously you still heard conversation, you heard sounds, this croaking, these creatures moving around, these cultists working whatever machinations they had in the distance, rumbling through the hallways. Perhaps it's just your location. Now sequestered back up in a corner of these basements and far enough away that no sound really reaches you through several jammed doors. But it's almost utterly silent now. Tyrannus is still prone on the ground, very severely and mortally injured after an attempting to treat himself incident. Fortunately, you guys had granted him several potions to stop him from dying.
No, those were his own potions.
Those were his own potions.
That's
He
right.
wouldn't take them if we didn't convince him of it.
That he definitely brought back with him. And he seems to be coming around a little more at this point. He's left this half-conscious, almost sort of delirious state. And the rest of you, I believe now, are doing largely all right physically. You've been bandaged up. You've been treated with what magic Rur had left. And how are we continuing? What are the plans?
Whew. Well,
Gonna have to take ourselves a bit of a break. Stop for lunch.
Yeah,
moment's peace at least.
I have to say, near-death experiences make me hungry, and I didn't know that before because I've never had one.
Perhaps
This is
you should
definitely.
I'm just thinking you should perhaps stay away from doorways unless there's at least one other person between the door and you.
I agree. You know, this strategy that this Hell Knight over here is talking about, I feel like, first and foremost, strategy, you guys stay away from doorways. Doorways are suspicious.
Tyrannus in the ground, just kind of motions with my hands, still prone on his back.
I got you,
chuckle.
Tyrannus. I'm
So
picking
this
up
is all
what
it
you're
took,
throwing
then.
down.
A single near-death experience, and now we are prepared to discuss tactics.
Although,
Fantastic. And I am in the best place to elucidate us on what we should do.
Well,
as
I don't know
have
if your
finally had
tactics
the honor
are-
of entering the Lictor's office as he looks around the room here. Though it is in a state of disrepair. Slightly more than I would have liked.
Yes, it seems that Miss Time has not been kind to it, and certainly the cultists haven't done very well either.
hey, Buford, can I ask you something?
Sure, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of answers, but, you know, I try my best.
I'm starting to wonder if whether or not you're not what you seem to be, are you?
Well, I ain't no half-elf, you know. I ain't suggest nothing of the sort.
No, what I mean to say is, you know, when I first met you, I just had you pegged as a farmer that was kind of down on his luck, but that's not true at all, is it?
Nah, I got a slice of heaven at home. You don't know, and down on your luck, I mean, you wouldn't have a wife, you wouldn't have kids, you'd probably be a eunuch. I don't know what you'd be doing, but...
But you have some sort of divine magic.
Well, yeah, I call my blessings through Iomade. That's how I helped you out, you know. She saw your, I mean, albeit misplaced, you know, valor stand in front of that door, and she, you know, I felt it in her. I felt it that she would bless you in that time of need.
Yes, it does seem if you are blessed to have twice as many priests as I had imagined.
I
as we
ain't no
entered.
priest over here. I just, you know, I try and follow the tenets of Iomade, and she smiles kindly upon me.
Look, Buford. Quite simply, resume speaks the truth here. We all saw your magic, direct healing touch. This is a priestly gift. The divine in origin, I am certain.
I felt it.
Well, that's why I followed Iomade. She's a mighty strong leader, but I don't know if she'd condone, you know, I just worry about these monkeys, you know, like,
They're quite worrying.
they are quite worrying, but I don't know why they're here. If they don't seem to have a plan around here. I don't know how they got here. If they were just swallowed up by Earth and just spit out over here, they may just be as lost as we are.
I kind of feel a little bit bad about it too. It's why I wanted to spare the two in the other room. I mean, I don't know if they actually really want to hurt us or if they're just scared and we can't communicate with them and they don't know how to get out.
Oh, their actions certainly seem quite deliberate.
Well, they've been trapped down here for who knows how long, and once they got spit out here, they saw goblins, and, I mean, recently goblins have been a lot more friendly, but back in the day, goblins were really quite a menace, so...
They do seem to be trapped based on this just motions towards the eastern wall where there's this hole and all these broken little bits of picks and literal spoons they've been trying to bore out the dirt here.
Well, of course. No, remember, they came here... I don't know. I don't think you're giving them enough credit. They came here in force, whether by accident or... I don't know. Certainly, it seems that this area is not. Maybe it's something of a magical locust that sucks people here every now and then, as the ancestors of Breach Hill did. But they came here with some purpose to displace the goblins and came down into these vaults looking for something.
And they brought those creatures,
Indeed.
the dragons you had slain, up top in the keep.
And one of them collapsed the stairs after they'd already come down here. So that's how they wound up trapped here.
They were actively chasing the goblins, attempting to kill them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not saying that a whole lot of people don't have a whole lot of reason for chasing goblins and killing them. I'm just saying it's an awfully new thing for goblins to be on our side.
Well, in deference to Iomade and to you, since I owe my life to you both, I'll try to be more considerate in the future. I apologize if I offended you in any way.
Well, I do appreciate it. I just don't know where to go from here.
Shake?
I'll shake. I'll for sure shake your hand, miss. I mean, you've been a real asset to this group, and
Oh,
I couldn't
really?
have any more respect.
But Doran, you are a Pagalod, an elven lore master. Have you heard of such things before? How did these creatures get here? You have traveled.
Oh, it's to be perfectly honest. Maybe it may come back to me, but I've traveled a great deal of the world. Mwangi was right next to Osirian, my homeland. I actually did travel through there, but it was many, many years ago. My mind is a bit clouded from those times. I have my research, of course, but I wasn't studying Mwangi culture. I was searching for draconic lore. I certainly have plenty of notes of draconic lore and draconic iconography coming from Mwangi. But I'm afraid, as far as the culture goes, maybe as I grow more exposed to it, it may come back to me. But at the moment, I'm afraid I can't help.
Well, what if these monkeys were like on an adventuring party here, and they've got their like minions and whatnot, and their dogs, and they go out adventuring, and they just stumble upon something they're not supposed to stumble upon. It sucks them into the earth. They get deposited here, and then they see us breaking through it like a week or so later, and they're starving and terrified.
Are you trying to say that they were plunged down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost?
I don't know how magic works. Do I look like some kind of wizard to you?
It is entirely
no.
possible they were pulled here by accident while on their way to do something else. With
Then-
the forces
Maybe.
that they had, it doesn't seem quite like they were prepared to be dropped into the middle of winter.
I am not entirely convinced that their arrival here was not of their own volition. They seem to have marched near an army. They brought war beasts, they brought forces, commanders, these frogmen, the bargards you call them. They do seem to hold sway over the lesser creatures, whatever these
But
monkey
they
men
can't have walked here. I mean, do you know how cold it is outside?
are. Certainly they would not have. There's no ways they could have arrived here without being spotted. Even by your humble guards and breacher, certainly a force of that size, even that which we've dispatched so far, would have been visible.
This is indeed a full war band, not some, hapstance group.
But
of
we have
people.
encountered none of them that seem to have any propensity with magics themselves.
Can I propose something, and it's going to sound a little convoluted, but what if whoever brought here had a purpose for them, used it, and then trapped them in himself because he didn't need them anymore?
Well, it's possible, I suppose. But
I mean, it seems like there's a greater direction behind this, and none of these creatures strike me as leadership material.
This answer seems to be more of further questions than any sort of solution, but
A proposed third party just complicates the matters. For now, they're here for whatever reason they may be, and they are our direct problem that we need to...
as am I. I've seen
You ain't no problem, even if you
not a
accidentally...
problem. I'm
Oh.
here for my own reasons.
Of course.
And
of-
I've
right.
seen, so far, no signs of any vaults or storage down here. My family's signet ring may still be waiting. And I've seen it on none of these cultists. Admittedly, we have had precious little time to search them.
Well, then maybe we should keep going. Push on and try to do the best we can.
Well, of course, we still have the other half of the vaults to explore, and I think if we should probably refrain from speculating on the existence of third parties until we find evidence they exist.
But I like speculating.
Speculation does give us something to at least talk about while we're waiting in this room.
Speaking of, if it is finally time for us to discuss proper tactics,
Please share your expertise.
Resme will get down on the ground and fold her legs Indian style and look at
I'm
him.
just kind of gathering around Tyrant. It's still laying prone here, viciously
All right,
wounded,
Hell
but at
Knight
least
Dad, tell us a story.
somewhat bandaged up now. Look, I understand that the group of you come from different backgrounds. You elves, you Dalaran hailing from Osiria of all places. We have a priest of the sun, a farmer. I don't even know what to make of half of you. But
Which half?
I know that this good, this light in you, it exists. It wants to shine through. But there's precious little room for mercy in battle. Such acts commonly are folly. Let me explain. There is a cautionary tale during my own education that I was taught by the Marlectors, and a tale of he's kind of grits his eyes together and his teeth like he's either focusing or just kind of succumbing to this pain. I do not know how much more use there would be in exploring this place, truth be told. But no, regardless, Lictor Terun, Sel Terun, he and a faction of Hell Knights, an extension of, I believe it was also the Order of the Nail. They were making their way through northern Onderon. I don't know how much you know of the layout of your neighboring countries, but they fell across a group of highwaymen, marauders, bandits of sorts. Lictor Terun, his forces were clearly superior to them, and this was made immediately evident in battle, to which the bandits quickly surrendered. But this was not a show of good faith. Shortly after surrendering, when the Hell Knights lowered their guard, their weapons sheathed their blades, the bandits took advantage, slaying half a dozen before making their retreat into confusion. You cannot put such faith in your enemies. It is unwise and unsafe. I know what I did in the hall may seem cruel from your perspectives, but war is war. It is different. It brings out the worst in all of us. I only did what was necessary to keep us safe. This is the same I would expect of any of you.
While I don't particularly condone the actions you took, I do agree with the response at the time. He didn't drop his weapons. The other two did. He was still, while minor,
even
a
had
threat.
he, we must balance risk in all situations, especially against those who have already established they mean to cause us harm. We were flanked in that situation. We could not be confident what was behind the door. Left to his own devices, those beings could have regrouped, could have called for reinforcements, and renewed their attack with us pinched between them. That was not a risk I would have taken, armed or otherwise.
I guess it's just that none of us were trained to think like that.
Well,
Speak for yourself.
Taking prisoners is a luxury when you're fighting for your lives. There's only 5 of us. So if, in a military action, if you have a rear guard who can look over prisoners, then it makes sense. In this situation, though, thankfully we were able to capture 2, I suppose, and maybe they'll prove useful, but at the very least we didn't have to kill them. But
if they are
we
even
do have
still
to,
bound when we return to them.
if indeed, we don't know if they will still be there. Although certainly we don't seem to have run into them again. But we'll see, perhaps. Although,
If they had been found by their allies, it's likely they would have come for the ambush.
my thoughts too. Yes.
By my accounts, we have slain 6 of the frogmen and 8 of the monkeys.
Yes.
Yes.
I have to wonder how many they brought along. And whether the rest of them could easily muster a second wave.
Well, we'll hear them coming at the very least, and if they don't make a move before ready to go, then we'll go and flush them out. They're fierce fighters, but I think we know the way they operate at this point. I doubt they have more surprises left for us.
We can at least plan for the way they're going to attack.
Directly and with force.
Yes, exactly.
No
Seems to be
monkey
the only
business.
things they truly understand. Fortunately for us, our enemies equally lack tactics. So for now, this has worked mostly in our favor. But what they lack in intelligence, they do seem to make up for in brute strength. Those frogmen. They are impressive. We would do well not to underestimate them.
Yes, indeed. Although we have an advantage in the layout. If the southern half of the vaults are anything similar to the layout of the northern half, we have the opportunity to approach rooms from multiple sides, much as we learned up here. So I think our knowledge could come in handy and allow us to clear the remainder of the vaults in a more safe manner than we've
If
been
I
doing
were
before.
to predict, this layout, foreign outdated as it is, I would expect common chambers, storages, perhaps a vault, on the far end of the hallway where we had entered. I believe this basement may have 3 wings, not 2. But this is my first time down here as well.
I guess we'll just have to see.
Since we've cleared the entirety of what appears to be the...
Well, there is one door that we haven't checked yet. We should probably check that before we move further
back
to
in
the south.
in the other room from here, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed.
I'm tired of doors.
Well, there are many doors in this place.
I'm tired of Cinderclaws.
Ah,
You poor thing.
we should gather their badges. It may come in handy, not only for might not only for research purposes, but who knows? It may be useful to have badges of our adversaries at some point in the
If
future.
you attempt to pass yourself off as one of these monkeys, I must suggest Buford probably a more suitable candidate.
I have been impressed with Buford's acting in the past. This is true. I am a bit stuffy to pull the role off.
You know? Why, thank you.
It's-
You're not such a bad fellow, you say.
Perhaps the Sun
See that,
Priest.
Esphus? I'm impressed with
Your
people every
matches
day.
are better in size.
I don't believe that I would be able to speak
There is
any semblance of their language.
there
But
is
this
some
also-
sort of signature coming off of them.
Signature.
The
What do you
badges?
mean? Are
There's-
they magical in nature?
I think they might be. I felt a very faint signature coming from them. It wasn't very strong, but it was definitely there.
And this cult seems to be a bit of a cosmopolitan one.
Did I tell you the badges are magical?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you told me
but
that
we couldn't discern why.
we couldn't discern why or what they were. But yeah, I even wrote it down because it was important.
Give me 1 second.
Isn't it?
I
Doesn't
think there may have been a miscommunication. I don't think the badges are magical.
Oh,
Doesn't it suck when the PCs remember what you say?
Like some of them had some magical things on them, but it wasn't the badges.
Made it sound like it
I
was.
may have misspoken. There was an error in translation here. The badges are not
Retcon!
Perhaps, Resme, you are putting too much focus on what their beliefs are. After all, if it's supposed to be a symbol of their gods, it's not going to have the same effect as Rur's beliefs or Buddy's
they're evil and violent god.
conviction. Nevertheless, while I can understand the concern, as Tyrannus has so eloquently put, they're going to be about as sharp as a blunt object.
That's the most words I've ever heard you say at one
He's
time.
pretty swell, ain't he? He's got a real
Wow.
way with him. Really
You're
rolls off
actually
the tongue.
really eloquent. You should talk more often.
I'm going to the other corner of the room.
It's very well. I mean, that's not that small of a room. It's like 20 by 25, so it's.
Hey,
Estes
but
just
I
picks a
didn't-
corner where people aren't and just goes into
This would be the time where you're sorting through the rubble pile on the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
side of
that's-
us,
that's-
but
that's what I'm doing,
Picking
is-
out occasional random coins.
Well, Essos does have a point, actually. They didn't seem too terribly smart. This badge is a symbol of belief, not a symbol of race or tribe. And moreover, just given that we've already seen at least two different distinct species as a part of this cult. This may be actually fairly cosmopolitan. We may not have to disguise ourselves as monkey men if we ever should have a need to.
Praise be.
At the very least, they're small, and it could be good to simply keep them in a bag for now.
Keep in mind that while we are underestimating their intelligence just because they lack tactics, let's not try to outthink a brick wall.
Huh?
Exactly.
I see what you're going for.
I missed that one. I'll
So
have to
you
write
do,
it
of
down.
course, have the bodies of 3 boggards here in the chamber with you, all of which would have that same pin, but otherwise would be very simply equipped.
Are they all the same pin? Like
They are all identical pins. Yes, they are. They are completely identical pins.
Let me I want to take a look at their clothing, the things they're wearing.
I'll just pick them up.
What region does it look like this clothing is from? Like, what's it made of?
It is a large combination of worked and just raw hides, and some assortments of scales and bits of various shell. That looks like they look like they've all come from animals that you don't really recognize. They don't look like they're anything you immediately would see from around here. With the exception of the fact that a lot of the plates they have across their chest or connecting some of the various straps do look similar to the dragon dog, as the goblins called it, that you had slain back upstairs in the keep.
Like just their scales.
Yeah, just like the large plates of almost shell they have running scaled down their back. But unlike the pins, the equipment of the 3 boggards is diverse. It looks like it's largely handmade, patchwork, possibly that they'd all put them together themselves. It may be as much a display of trophies as it is protective armor that they wear.
That makes sense. Just because I haven't done it yet, detect magic.
And yeah, the detecting magic, I do not find any kind of a signature across any of the 3 boggards. None of them appear to have anything remotely magical, nor do you ping anything off in this room at all.
Okay.
Since we're waiting here while the wounded get treated, is your shield in decent condition? I could try to work it out.
Look down and it's got a really nice just indent in the top of it. I mean, it's functional, but if we could just bend it the other way.
Let me see what I can do.
So are we, what are we doing going forward? You'd waited for 1 10-minute rest so far. You'd healed up, you'd treated each other. Tyrannus tried to treat himself, didn't go great. You can continue tending to his wounds here, though mechanically you can't actually treat his wounds for an hour. Basically just means that the amount of healing he receives from treatment is up to 2d8 40, up to 1 treat wounds check hourly. So if you want to rest here for a longer period of time to try and get Tyrannus into a little bit better health, you certainly can. And while you're waiting, anything else that you want to do that takes an amount of time, like trying to repair the shield,
Quick
or if you
prayer
have
to
anything
Saren
else
Ray
that needs
to,
identified.
Recuperate my focus point.
Yeah, you
Yeah, I'll
kind
do
of
that
recenter
too.
yourself and pray, and you just refocus.
I'll turn into my brother again.
Dalren, go ahead and give me a craft check.
Okay, that's going to be an 18.
All right. Are you trained in craft?
I am.
So
And I have a repair kit.
awesome. Then you will restore 10 hit points to the shield,
Oh, nice.
which I'm almost
That
positive is more than it's taken.
More than
Perfect.
enough.
Wow, you're really handy, Dalren.
Oh, pick it up, wandering the world.
And Iomade does share thanks, and I would give him 6 hit points back for lay on hands.
There's also a thing that you can do is you can,
Lay on hands.
as a
and then
champion,
focus,
you
and
can
then lay on
kind of
hands.
channel a much less direct source of divine healing than what Rur can do. But with your lay on hands, you can center this divine energy and effectively lay on hands every 10 minutes and just slowly assist by healing 6 hit points to somebody via your devotion. So you have a lot of things you can do here. So if you're going to want to wait an hour to be able to medically treat Tyrannus again, you would be able to lay on hands 5 times in that window.
Well, he's a shield brother now because he's been helping us a lot here, and yeah, Iomade would see him as a strong what is it? Strong
Proponent.
proponent. Proponent? Is that the word for it?
It is.
That's a good word
That's
for
the
it.
one.
Assets.
He's the valuable asset of keeping Iomadi's chosen alive. He gets an honorary pass. That said, while Saren Ray and Asmodeus, not particularly friends, really. To my recollection, Iomade doesn't actually have any particular problem with Asmodeus at all, or even like
they're
Asmodean
actually
worshippers.
fairly well. Like they have a mutual kind of respect because
Right.
they both have their own moral code.
Because
and they
like
stick by
they're
it.
almost mirrors of each other,
Yeah.
right? Iomade is good, lawful. Like
Yeah.
you are lawful good. And Asmodeus is lawful evil. So you are probably the two most strictly like
Yeah.
extreme
She has a lot of
lawful
respect.
deities
I think
that exist.
they have like a respect relationship where they understand the other and they both have the same morals. Of,
Yeah,
like,
and they
moral code.
and Iomade knows that, as ridiculous as it may sound, if you haven't put a lot of thought into like Pathfinder deities, you can trust Asmodeus. Like, he's not going to lie to you. There are a lot of things he will do that may inconvenience you and you may not agree with, but like lie or deceive you is not one of them. That is not on Asmodeus's list of things that he accomplishes.
He doesn't
So-
have to lie to you or break his word to dick you over.
Exactly. He can work his devil stuff regardless. And Iomade's problem is largely demons more than devils. She also obviously not a huge fan of devils. But yeah, I mean, this would be a perfectly reasonable
Better
thing
the
to
devil
do.
you know.
So over the rest of the hour, you could channel this divine potency, and you would actually largely be able to heal what is visible of Tyrannus's wounds. The injuries he's taken, you'd be able to, over this time, the two of you together, soothe his pain. And with a medicine check,
That's a critical. That's a 19 on the die for a 27.
so you'd heal 4d8 additional health to him.
He's the most healthy now.
He, which would also be, by your powers combined,
Got a D8.
you would be able to put him back into a state ready and prepared to fight.
All right, so that's all fives.
Okay, well,
Many
it's an
health.
interesting roll. So yeah, 20 additional health there at the end. By the end of this hour, nobody is still mechanically wounded. And although you are still showing the wear of battle, certainly, it's mostly closed. It's been reduced to cuts, surface level cuts and bruising. Your pain has been dulled, if not removed entirely. And the party has largely come back together. What you don't get back, of course, is your magic and any other resource. I think it's just magic, actually. I don't think you really have any other major resources at that point.
And some of your rations might be gone.
But
I
after
still
an
got
hour,
my bananas. We're okay.
after an hour in this room,
We hate it.
Granola
hate
and
the
bananas.
Done with this room.
we don't want to be here anymore. So, you gotta remove the python.
Yep. we
With
gotta
a
do
little bit
that.
of effort and a clank, you can wrench this back out with your climbing gear
Mhm.
from the floor and reopen this door to access the rest of the vaults below Citadel Altarian. Are there any other preparations or anything anyone needs to make before you head wherever it is you choose to head?
I'm gonna be.
Putting light back on myself.
I'm
Oh, and
putting
if you
the
wouldn't
light
mind.
back on Dalren.
I believe those are the two people I already have it on, so that's perfect.
Okay.
And I will be detecting magic as my action for exploration.
All right, Delren, what are you going to be doing?
I will be searching.
Okay.
Shielding.
Buddy's shielding. Esphus?
Scouting.
Scouting?
But I'm gonna be keeping an extra sharp eye on Esvis and Resme because they've been in iffy situations recently.
Well, to be fair, the one that happened to Esphus was entirely not by his choice.
Esvis, I swear to God, if you go getting into trouble again, I don't
Resme
even
went
know.
hero mode. Esphus got yoinked.
Good job at
Those are-
Resme. I'm certainly proud of you for holding your ground. But Esvis, don't even know.
He's gonna do something.
How dare you let them lick you so aggressively?
And I'm guessing you're going to be recalling knowledge.
Oh, what a surprise. You guessed correct.
So we're back to our original setup here. We've got everything back together as we did.
Forgetting the band.
And we are ready to continue our explorations in the under levels of Citadel Altarian. I assume we return back out into the hallway, opening the door once more into this strange intermediate kind of lounge area where that big cloth thing, abomination, this like 10-foot across amalgamation of curtains and upholstery is just mashed together, now devoid of monkeys.
Yes.
But as you leave that hall and make your way here, you do, of course, cross over the corpses that you've left behind. 2 of them right in that same hallway where the boggards had arrived. And you pluck the Cinderclaw pins from each of them as you pass. And looking them over as well, just for the sake of thoroughness, you don't see anything out of the ordinary about their setup either. Their gear does appear to be a bit lighter. Each of them on their belt bore a sickle and a whip, but they didn't bring anything else to battle. They have much lighter leather armors than the boggards do. They're both much smaller, and they do seem to be a lot less physically powerful, not even just because of their size. The damage they inflict by flinging these rocks is more due to their precision and their accuracy than just any like raw brute force they've got behind the thing.
Right.
So it's almost more decorative. What they're wearing is a lot of fangs and teeth and feathers up along their bracers or brought around their waist. And in fact, most of their torsos are almost completely bare and exposed, just with straps holding things on around them, keeping pauldrons in place. They keep much lighter, but also do not have anything that sings of magic.
Nothing really interesting here. I guess let's keep going.
Well, should we check that top door then?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, so
I guess I'll listen at it first.
So Zdalren steps up and you're searching. So yeah, I'll let you take your perception check to see if you hear anything behind this door.
Oh, that's 23.
With a 23, what you hear is not just nothing, it is silence. If there is anything behind that door at all, it's not moving. It is waiting in ambush. Even if there were creatures back there that just were largely existing or around, unless they were asleep, you would hear something coming from there.
That sounds empty.
And as a matter of fact, with your 23, you also see on the ground here, there has been a disturbance. A lot of, since your battle, some of the blood, the bodies have been moved away from this doorway. This doorway has actually been opened since you came through this room.
It's possible that those 3 boggarts that stormed in on us came from this room. They might have been exploring this place when we came through. I'll kind of push the door open and take a peek inside.
And as you head in, you can see that may very well have been the case. Inside here, you can hear, now that you're in, a very, very faint occasional drip. As there is a leak coming down from the ceiling that has formed a fairly large, like almost 10-foot wide, marsh-like puddle in the center of this chamber. You can see, leading from that pool to the door, there is a massive wet mark where numerous creatures climbed out of this and made their way out.
Makes sense.
It seems like the boggards that had attacked you largely came from this pool.
I'm gonna probe that pool with my geese arm. Is it deep at all, or is it just more of like a puddle?
As you kind of poke at it, it's deeper than you expect.
Huh.
It's not just a puddle that's formed on the floor. It's been hollowed out underneath it, and it goes down almost the full length of your blade.
Wow.
Half and all before it reaches the bottom. It's at least 5 feet deep.
This an underwater passage?
As you prod around with the blade of your geese arm, you don't feel anywhere that it fans out. It seems to just largely go straight down, almost like a shallow basin on the edges before it reaches that depth around most of the area, more than a foot from the edges.
Oh, so not a passage.
So it just
a
seems
pool.
to be a large pool.
It's amazing what water can do when you give it the time.
Just to my assumption would be that maybe they need some sort of moisture or wetness to stay comfortable or to stay alive, and so they have this here so that they can do that.
If there's other types of frogs that they're anything like other types of frogs, that would make sense.
And make me a perception check real quick, again, Dalren.
I'm going to get a 12 that time.
And with a 12, the water level is a few inches down below the top of the actual floor here, but looking around the edges of it, the rubble that's been brought around it, it's impossible to tell whether this was just hollowed out over decades of this dripping, or if somebody had dug it, because what's visible up above the surface of the water at this point has been worn fairly smooth by the water's existence.
Oh, there's no... I think it's probably far more likely this was at least dug out a bit. I mean, certain water can do amazing things to stone, but I've never seen it erode this much in the span of a few decades.
Well, maybe they've been down here then, and they meant to be down here.
Well, they've certainly had plenty of time by themselves. Although, I wonder if there's anything in the pool. Can I
ain't
see
going
in the water?
The water is fairly murky. And on top of that, the only source of light you have are these two cantrips, which put off about as much light as a torch does.
So Darn's going to take his glove off and put it on the end of his geese arm and just put it in the water.
Okay. And
Can I put light on the geese arm?
My
Sure,
light's
yeah,
already there.
the goose arm is already
you
what's
can't.
lit.
It's bulk 2.
Oh, yeah, you can actually put it on a weapon. I say bulk 1 or less. You can put it on a light weapon, but you can't put it on a goose arm.
But you can put it on something and tie it to the geese arm.
You can put it on the glove.
Yeah, put it on. We'll put it on the glove. And
Yeah.
We'll put it underwater.
So you cast that and submerge it beneath the surface. And as it dips down, after you get down a foot, 2 feet of haft into the water, you can barely even see the light coming up through it. It's incredibly murky. It's almost half mud, more than it is just raw liquid water at this point.
Yeah, well, probably.
It's not particularly thick, but it's near impossible to actually see through.
Oh, I see.
I think we've learned what we can learn. Let's move
Yeah.
on.
Okay. No sense of anything exceptional.
Oh yeah, you
Except for...
do not
Well, never mind.
you do not detect any magic. No.
Okay.
I'll retrieve my glove and try to dry it off a bit before I put it back on.
Samir returns the light spell to his person. So that brings us back into these large central chambers of the hall here, with the question of where are we headed?
Well, you were talking about the layout and where you thought the other wings might be. Why don't you take the lead and let's go see if your suppositions are true.
Well, as far as I can determine, the only avenue we have not pursued here is that northern door, through there, and he motions to the room where you'd first encountered the monkey men. The one that was barricaded.
Oh, yeah, we suspect the goblins had their pet bear back there. It would probably be best if we didn't go there.
I see no particular reason to, quite literally, poke a sleeping bear. I am inclined to agree. So, he will go down this hallway here and largely lead everyone back to this main antechamber. But you're at the front of this now. You're much further down than you really had been before.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows you to see a little bit further along than you did previously. And you can see that this hallway does end eventually. It goes down to 3 doorways on its eastern end, all just set almost next to each other across the 15-foot span. All 3 of them hanging open.
Huh.
Interesting.
Fair enough.
Can I tell who's gone through which ones with a tracking check to see if I can figure out how many people have gone through each
And
door?
there's no real tracking check necessary there because 2 of the doorways have an almost impressive amount of undisturbed dust and dirt. The one in the center and what would be to your right on the southern side of the hallway. While the northern doorway has very clearly been flung open and someone or something has gone through there somewhat recently. As far as how long ago or what, that would in fact be a survival check. So go ahead.
It's going to be a 13.
With a 13, it's difficult to determine. It looks like they're footprints, so it could possibly have been more of these cultists. It looked like an upright creature made these, but you can't determine how many or whether they would have been boggards or the monkey men or when exactly.
That hole in the wall to the
Hey, let's hang a left and see
to our
what's in
left
there.
there. Where is
To
that
your
going?
north, there is a massive heap of rubble
Hmm.
spewing out into the hallway. And if you were to climb over it just to take a look here, you can see the lower portion of the collapsed stairwell that once led down from the keep up above.
Okay, I got you.
Interestingly, it also looks like it once led further down as well.
Huh.
But this entire stairwell would take days, if not weeks, to clear back into a usable state. That's even just to remove the rubble, not to mention repair the damage to the stairs themselves.
So there is a
And,
lower level.
So it would seem. That is interesting and not something I had anticipated.
So we can go down the path that's been traveled rather rigorously, or we can take one of the doors that looks like it hasn't been disturbed for some time.
Well, also we have the vaults to the south of us.
Yes, we have several directions we can take from here. And let me grab our little group a little bit here, because one of you guys is exceptionally bright. Okay, it is you. There it is. You have the correct amount of light on you. I was trying to figure out. Arkenforge's lighting eludes me. I've gotten everything else largely figured out, but I'm still trying to science exactly how the lighting works. But, Tyrannus just kind of shrugs. Well, from what we can see from here, the central chamber appears to be abandoned. It seems all of these seem to be empty. And, as I had hoped, this seems to be the vault room.
A quick canvas then, perhaps, since this seems to be the area where you are interested in exploring.
I would hope the vault is through here, and if not, then I may be seeking a lost cause, I am afraid.
All right.
So, you're still having Tyrannus kind of lead here. So go ahead and just arrange yourselves here on the map how you are, since we're getting into new areas now, and I can unnugget us for exploration purposes.
There are many models moving many places.
So many minis. And we are moving through one doorway, so it's kind of like
Conga line.
yeah, we got sort of Dalren, we got Tyrannus up front here.
Which doorway are we going through?
He seems to want to go through the middle one,
Middle one. Okay,
which
fair
is
enough.
the war room.
Very good. Excuse me.
So we're doing like this, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of a dealio, making this line.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would. Dalrin would want to be at the second level if we're breaching the door. But once we're in, yeah, that'll
Well,
work.
the door's already hanging open.
Okay,
so
perfect.
I don't know if breaching is a word you can technically apply to a room that's already open.
It's a good
It's
point.
more like walking into
into
at this
it.
point. Yeah, because breaching, you gotta force something. Something's got to be opened or destroyed for a proper breach. But the group of you enter.
There is still time to destroy that door.
Yeah, the group of you enter this chamber, and I'll move this a bit. And as you do, it's dominated by one large feature, a fairly splintered table, 12 feet long and maybe half as much across, dominates the center here, surrounded by broken wooden chairs and moldy books and assorted detritus just littering the floor everywhere. There are two bodies sprawled on the ground that you can see as you come in. Dead boggards. Now, you see no sign of their entering here. However, you can see that there are numerous exits to this room all the way around, and the room itself is a strange shape. And it's very possible, and in fact likely, that they came in through the door to your left that leads to the same room as the leftmost door in the hallway would have. But as everyone enters here, and Tyrannus approaches this table and sees the bodies here. Well, that is concerning.
What does it look like the boggards?
Succumbed to.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna check under the table. Is there like a monkey waiting to ambush us?
So you move up and check under the table.
There's a
You're
snake there,
looking
isn't there?
underneath. There's a talking snake. No. Not this time.
I liked our talking snake friend.
The talking snake was a good guy. He was a pretty cool dude. You lean down underneath, and there's just more of this scattered garbage. There's no other bodies. I mean, it's a pretty large set-up war table, and it's pretty open underneath. But if there was a monkey crouching underneath it, it would have been clearly visible as you were coming into the room.
Okay.
It's not something that they could realistically, like, hide underneath.
So I guess we go right?
Right? Right or left?
Right.
So, make me a perception check while you're looking under there.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's 24.
Okay. So there's a few things kind of scattered out throughout the general litter in the room that look a little different. Something that looks like they don't belong or maybe of some value. And it's largely figurines and small dolls. There are a variety of small, polished obsidian sculpts. And they're generally around 3 to 5 inches tall.
Similar to the dog that we found before.
Kind of similar to the dog, but the tech magic isn't pinging anything in this room, so none of them are inherently magical in any way. And these look like they are sculpted much more intricately. There's one of them near the leg of the table as you bend down and look at it. And the one in front of you appears to be a Hell Knight in their full plate, visor down, standing at attention with their halberd.
Oh. Tyrannus, this was something of a war room, was it not?
And you hand the figure over to him, and he looks at it.
Perhaps
What
a
was?
marker to show a regiment or some division?
Yes, it is very similar to what we would have used for such purposes. And as he looks around, and once you see these you look around, you just see a pile of crap in a room. But if you're looking for something specifically, you kind of turn on your eyeball filters and you start picking out these things are everywhere. You can see a bunch of them. There are quite a few that look exactly like this.
Oh, that's real cute. Oh my goodness.
Maybe
And
there
I'd
were
go
little
around
Hell
first, start
Knightings in
picking
here,
them
and
up.
they were playing
There
with
are a
them.
bunch of other ones throughout the room that are, and even near the table here, which look like they are wearing similar Hell Knight regalia, but rather than full plates, they have a hand up with fire and a hood drawn over their head,
Ooh, maybe it's a game.
as well as an assortment of just kind of generic, featureless humanoid figures or busts, or some of them are just symbols.
Oh, signifiers, like heavy infantry. Oh, I suppose this is how they used to plan the massive campaigns they had in the foothills of the Five Kings Mountains.
And as Tyrannus kind of bends down to look under the table too, just kind of pouring through the broken chair legs and rubble to pick up a couple more of these figurines clinking together in his hand. He reaches for another one of them, and something darts at his hand. You can't immediately tell what it is. It's very small, but it's a little bigger than these figurines, maybe a foot long. It lunges for him, and he darts back immediately and reaches for his halberd. But looking down, you don't see what it was. All you see is wood and ruin, and a couple of these figures scattered underneath the table. Making a perception check real quick.
Many perceptions.
That is an 8.
With an 8, as you both look, poring over this, kind of near the table, Tyrannus' hand up on his halberd. Unclear on what just happened, the figure leaps up from below the table again. It's a tiny wooden doll,
Huh.
about a foot high, and it just stands up out of the mixed wooden rubble and broken fragments, like almost impossible to pick out down there and until it starts moving. But it stands up wearing a red and white, very simple, almost like a page's outfit, just pulled over its body. It's not patchwork together, it's like it was made for it, like it's just the doll's clothes.
Yeah.
And in its hand is a tiny little halberd.
Huh.
And as it lunges out from the desk, skittering towards Tyrannus, who steps back, kind of unsettled but sort of amused by whatever the heck this little tottering sentient doll animation thing is.
No magic?
No magic. It calls out in a language that I am pretty sure nobody understands. Does anybody speak Infernal?
Oh, still no.
I didn't think so. It screeches out, Second Dortaz! And starts incanting a spell, at which Tyrannus' eyes go wide and he draws his halberd. Whatever this thing is, roll initiative.
Huh. This is not how I thought this day was gonna go.
Remember, I was scouting, so
He is
+1.
scouting, so you've all got a +1 here.
I'm just like, what in the heck is happening?
Hello?
It's
Creature
child's
thing?
play.
It's like, oh, hey there, little guy. Oh, wait a minute.
wait a minute.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh. Wit man and no magic. Esvis.
14.
14. These human numbers below 20
What
out of
is
you.
this?
Let us down.
He's stuck in the doorway
Resume.
back there.
16.
16.
Space those out a little more.
I always seem to roll 16 or 18.
You have 15?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was pretty safe putting those close together. Alright, fine. I'll just go ahead and preemptively put you in the middle there. Buddy?
26.
You're getting a little bit excited there. You're gonna want to bring that this way.
It's happening, Dalren.
14.
Do you want to go first or Esvis?
You can go first.
Sure, I'll go first. I'll make you move him again.
Optimize how many times I have to move these. And this
Chucky.
strange little doll.
Incoming hard 20.
Stop it.
Would you stop it? Nobody wants to be your friend. I hate you.
It's actually laced.
Oh.
It's very tiny. So like whatever it's doing,
Little feet.
yeah, it can't get to you particularly quickly because it's only a foot tall. So with a 13, you all fortunately react faster than the weird little animated thingamajig. So Tyrannus, I lied to you. Tyrannus is last. Tyrannus is the perpetual last.
He's
Just holding up the rear.
He's just so amused he doesn't know what to do.
He's like, he's not positive what's happening. So, buddy, this thing has come out. It's flailing. It's wielding a little sculpted halberd. It's an angry little doll creature.
What do I know about
Man, it is really tiny. Look
It's
at that little
very
thing.
tiny. It is the tiniest little Muppet. Here is a very tiny little thing that you can put on it.
That is great. It's funny.
Because he is very small. And I will be taking a knowledge, arcana, or crafting from you.
5?
So this here. 1 second, I want to make sure I don't lie to you. Or that if I'm lying to you, I'm lying to you intentionally. This is an incredibly simple little construct. The thing itself, at this point in a state of an animated object, is almost just more of a possessed doll than it is an actual magical construct like a clockwork or a golem would be. But it looks to you, you've seen things like this, it's like what you would use to train somebody, to teach somebody very simple conjuration magics. You basically bind a tiny fragment of a soul into a doll or a simple creature object like this to animate it. And it adapts the personality and some of the mindset of whoever's soul was placed into it. It looks like a tiny little Hell Knight, but you can't really, like the Hell Knight's page boy at least, but there's no way of knowing at this point who would possibly have put the soul into it. Just due to the nature of its creation, it does almost unilaterally, I mean it's already starting casting a spell, have some kind of magic available to it. It can channel kind of its own energy. And it is magical, but since we're using a level 0 detect magic cantrip, and it was kind of hiding its presence, and it's a higher level than 0, Detect Magic didn't show up until it's come out. Detect Magic is really weird in 2nd edition, and I'm still unraveling all of the things it does, or rather does not do. And
so irritating.
Detect anything that's hiding that's higher than level 0 is on the list of things it does not do, even if
the
they are
cantrip doesn't break stealth on anything that's
the
magical
cantrip
anymore.
does not break stealth on absolutely any creature alive that has any magical items. It does not know. So since it was laying there hiding, you didn't know. But you have no idea what its intentions are, nor do you have any idea what it's casting, because in 2nd edition, there's actually also no easy way to identify a spell that is being cast. You don't know.
There's a feat for that.
There's a feat for that, but yeah,
I can get it. I can get it later.
No general purpose one. So you have no idea if it's hostile or what on earth it's going for, really. So, buddy.
So I readjust the grip on my hammer and I kind of look around at what the rest of the guys are doing, and I'm going to hold my turn. I have my hammer. I'm like,
I'm gonna put this
this is weird. I don't really know what to do here.
Because Ray's got his light back on himself instead of on Buford. There we go. So yeah, you're just gonna. So do you want to ready an action or do you want to delay?
No, I'm just delaying. I'm just gonna see what everybody else does.
All right, Resume.
Resme will look at it. Would I realize it's a construct now that I can see it casting?
Well, yeah. Now that you can see an animated doll running out, like you're all gonna know it as a construct, and because of the exploration activity, giving him the knowledge check, that's something he just can call out. And you should do that, by the way. You should actually just quickly say that's what you know. Quickly say what you tell the party as combat starts. That's a thing we should do, as a role-playing group that's doing a live stream.
I was thinking it in my head if you want me to go ahead and do it.
Well, we can't hear what you're thinking in your head, actually. I've not gotten to that level of technology yet. I'm actually still trying to figure out camcorder plugged directly in and not have problems. So,
Well, we had it in our other groups that we didn't want to reiterate it. What you already said.
yeah.
But but that's what you know, and then you have a quick call out as combat starts, if you want to share that information with the party.
It's a construct. There's a tiny soul in it, and it casts magic. Squish it.
Well, it is that is visibly doing all of those things, so it doesn't seem like he's lying to you.
Okay, that's exactly what she's gonna do then. Telekinetic projectile. I will throw a big hunk of rock at it.
All right.
I will not. That is an 11.
Yeah, with an 11, I mean it's a 1 foot tall thing in front of Buddy and Tyrannus and Dolren.
Well,
so
then I'm
it's,
shielding.
Yeah, almost impossible for you to get that around there, but you throw up a protective shield for yourself. Rur, do you want to step in, by the way? Is she
I'll wait
starts
till after
attacking it?
Rur
All right,
goes.
Rur,
Hey,
go ahead.
Rur is the knowledgeable one here.
Rur got the brain.
I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm throwing a divine lance at it.
Okie dokie.
We're gonna see if, because there's what appears to be a Hell Knight in this, maybe a good chunk of energy will damage it. And that is an 18.
18. As you shoot this, it's divine lance, right?
Yes.
As you shoot this divine
Using good.
Yeah, divine spear down at the thing, this tiny little creature, it's an almost impossible target. It bobs out of the way and your lance just dissipates across the rubble behind it. 18 misses.
Okay. And I'm just gonna kind of look around and say, just hit it. Just squish it and then pop up a shield. Just
Captain,
for safety.
And I would.
Buddy is going to commence squishing.
Rur's just kill it, kill it, kill it.
It casts magic, don't let it.
It's doing wizard stuff!
I'm
Hi,
going
buddy.
to run around the table to the other side. And as I'm coming around the other side, I'm going to rake my hammer across the table and try and punt it off the table, kind of golf
It's under
club
the
style.
table.
Oh, it's under the table.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be kind of hard with the thing.
With the
motion in
legs and
ocean.
whatnot, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, then I guess I'll just hit it regular style.
Okay, come around and it's under the table, just give it a whack. It's a big open table, so the table's not going to get a cover or anything.
Okay. So that is a what is that? 14.
14, yeah, as you bring the hammer down, this thing just scurries away from the other side of the table, towards Tyrannus specifically, and your hammer just again slams into the rubble. You're trying to hit a doll that's about yay big. It's also now suddenly very fast.
Okay. Well, and then I guess I'll just block my shield and wedge it under the table between me and it.
Get away from me, old thing.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, you can pretty much just fill up the entirety of that area with your shield. And then how is it going to get out and hit you with its weird little halberd? Genius. Alrighty. Dalran then.
All right, so I would take this thing a little bit less seriously, except there are 2 dead boggarts in this room.
Yeah.
And that concerns me. Furthermore, it looks like this thing is using the table to hide. So the first thing Dalran is going to do is slink down, grab the edge of that table, and just fling the thing over.
All right, and I mean, Buddy's on the other side of it now.
No,
so...
I'm flinging it lengthwise.
Oh, fair enough. You're going to flip the whole thing. Oh, you just flip the entire table into the southern side of the room, revealing this little doll underneath that's now very obvious and very visible to everybody.
Cool.
Although it is still quite small and surprisingly fast.
So the next thing I'm going to do is try to slow it down a bit. So I'm going to take the geese arm and rake it along the floor, flip the hook, and try to catch it in a trip attempt.
All right. That is going for the 4 DC.
Take my coin.
Oh, I forgot we have coins.
Give
I've used
session
this.
You have
reroll
all
to
the
me.
coins.
I
You
know,
have
I keep
so many
forgetting
coins.
about
You have
them.
2 hero points and a
That's
set reroll.
slightly better. It's athletics, right?
It's athletics against his 4 DC. Yep.
That is a 16.
With a 16, you're just finding a similar problem to everybody else. It's nearly impossible to trip something this tiny. Like, it can just hop clean over your blade. It's so small that's seemingly incredibly difficult to do. It's surely not impossible, but that's not going to do it.
And I'm still going to take this thing a bit seriously, so I'm going to actually step away from it. So I'm still within range of it, but if this thing has anything that lets it hit adjacent things, or if it has magic similar to Resme, I don't want to be anywhere near anything else around it.
All right. Esvis, and then Tiny Doll.
I don't like this thing. First action, hunt prey.
Tiny Doll is hunted. He does, of course, have soft cover from here, lesser cover, but now that the table has been flipped, he only has lesser cover, not regular cover,
Okay.
which is just a +1. It's also exactly 25 feet away from you.
Yeah, I'm also going to kind of scoot back just a step, just to make sure.
Scoot back to what we call longbow range.
What we call longbow range. Seeing as I don't need grease for this, and I will hunted shot, take 2 shots.
Okay.
So first shot, 24.
24 will hit. With an arrow revealed from the table as Tyrannus is ready to attack and grabbing his halberd, your arrow whizzes past through this hallway, past half your party, and the arrow, longer than the doll is tall, slams into the thing.
And second attack, 19.
19, however, as your first arrow hits, knocks it back out of the way, and 19 misses.
Okay. So, 2 points of damage.
All right. And as this arrow bounces off the thing, it doesn't wedge in at all, because again, it's a little wooden doll. But it does strike it with, I mean, as much force as you can put behind an arrow. It seems to do almost literally nothing to it. It's like it doesn't even stagger backward. It flinches for an instant as the arrow bounces off of it before it just continues forward into Tyrannus.
Something is very wrong with that thing. Very wrong. And that's the end of my turn.
So this tiny little doll takes its tiny little halberd and just lashes out in tiny little rage as it's screaming.
And cuts off Tyrannus' tiny little head.
Towards Tyrannus.
Oh my god!
Somehow this tiny doll shatters his tibia.
It is going to miss, as it's so little. Like it's just swinging this little halberd down at his greaves as it incants this spell, and it's just gonna bounce off. And like it doesn't appear to be able to punch through armor with its dumb little hands. But as it hits and it seems to ricochet just off of it, Tyrannus actually staggers Like, it knocks his leg back and he staggers as he grabs his halberd. And his eyes just kind of go wide. What? And then it turns around to Buford behind him. And
Peeking out from behind the shield.
peeking out from behind his shield.
Just a hat is all he sees.
And finishes his incantation. Infraginas Orbis Tenebris! And shoots a beam back towards you of winding blue and black energy. And what's your AC right now?
My AC is 20.
There's your spell attack roll, little buddy. Alright, that beam is gonna hit you.
Okay.
And as it does, you feel this absolute freezing cold rack through you. And you are going to take... Can I get one more d6, please?
Does an attack and then a spell incur the multiple attack penalty, or are they
It
separate?
does.
Okay,
If the spell has the attack trait, which it did, it does.
gotcha. Depends on the spell.
Yeah, basically anything that's going to be like shooting a ray is probably going to incur multiple attack penalty. You are going to take 15 cold damage.
Why don't you keep that?
I guess I should just hang on to this, yeah, in case I need more d6s. And in addition... Who cast light on you?
I don't have light on me.
He doesn't.
Who has light on them?
Me
Him
and...
and-
Oh, that was it you then. I thought he had light on them. You take 15 cold damage.
Oh.
Actually, does that crit you? What's your AC? You're not
Yeah.
raging right now, are you?
No, so it's a 19.
Okay, you're good. So what is your spell DC?
Sorry, I'm not used to giving you that number.
Yeah, this is something I have not asked for previously.
18.
15 damage. Ouch.
The magical light on Dalren goes out, leaving just Rur's light dimly illuminating the room.
That just seems super not bright. Anytime there's light on me.
It's because your token is tiny, so it gets less light. I don't know.
Grow up, Rur.
So
I'm a halfling. I can't.
Tyrannus is gonna draw out his halberd and, seemingly terrified, showing more emotion than you've ever seen this man who has been brought down in combat with a bunch of boggards, slam it down, just almost the pommel of it, just as hard as he can, towards this little creature on the ground. And he's gonna miss, as this thing just jumps to the side, spinning its own halberd around as it shoots this beam of frigid energy out towards Dalren. Take you veil! What? Resme, you're on deck.
Oh my god, I feel so ridiculous doing this, but drop a magic missile on it.
So, you summon up all this energy, and I assume you mean drop 3 magic missiles
Yes.
on it is where we're going. It's this angry doll gets 3 magic missiles.
It takes 6.
6 damage.
Plus 1 each one.
Oh, sorry.
9
9 damage.
Alrighty, so with that, again, as each missile collides, it shudders briefly, just barely flinching from the weight of the impact, but it doesn't slow at all. It doesn't appear to take any damage. It's just eating this. Like, this little animated thing seems nigh indestructible. Rur, buddy, you're on deck.
I'm going to move myself to the southern end of the room, bringing the light over across this creature. I guess I would be here to make sure that the light stays on the creature so everyone can see it clearly.
Okay?
And then we're gonna...
Esfist is out in the hallway now with the darkness.
He can see his target. That's
You
what
move
matters.
He just... You can stay in the room, whatever.
And we're going to call down another one, this time looking close at it, focusing, making sure we don't miss. There's no obstructions in the way.
So you like step up on the upside down table here and bring another lance down.
For a 27.
27 hits.
Hey.
That focus is all it took.
We got him there.
And it's good.
Yes.
Okay,
It
just
will,
making
it will
sure.
Definitely take good damage. It is certainly evil.
5.
5 damage. Let me double check and make sure. It has a lot of immunities. I'm pretty sure alignment damage is not on here. It is not. It will take 5 damage. And as that one hits it, you finally see the first sign of it taking any real injury at all, as this little clothes, this little page's uniform this doll's dressed up in, tears a bit, and you can see a small mar across the wood of its shoulder as it continues attacking. Buddy, Dalren, you're on deck.
I'm gonna I drop my hammer, take a torch out of the back of my backpack, and I'm going to try and furiously light this torch and like light all of the wood on the shattered wood on the ground on fire.
Okay, so I don't know that there's an amount of actions it takes in combat to light a torch, so
Or just like if I
I'm gonna say 2.
I guess I
because
could
it's
take flint and steel and then just try and light what's on the ground.
Because you
need
have a
torch like
device
this.
meant to light a torch, and a torch that is. Oh, if you're trying to light the ground directly, that's
Would it be like what I
gonna
know?
be difficult.
Okay,
Because like
so
your
light
torch
torches.
is basically like wrapped in cloth
Okay.
and treated to be easy to light. That's the purpose
Okay.
of a torch. So I'd say 2 actions, like 1 to draw out the torch
Yeah.
and the flint, and then your remaining 2 actions to get it lit. Because you're using a tool, 2 tools intended for this express
Okay.
purpose. So then the next turn,
yeah,
you
I
can
would have
lend down,
this.
and next turn you can start trying to set the
Okay,
room
so
on
yeah,
fire.
I
Which is
will-
always what we go to immediately, is what if we set the entire room on fire?
But
It's made of
does it
wood.
work?
That's my move.
Okay, so I'd be holding a lit torch then.
Yeah.
I could say
Dalren, you're on 10.
This is pretty concerning, actually. That really hurts.
15's a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do, this is certainly worth it. Dragon Rage, lightning crackles up, and the this thing we really need to try to pin it down. So from a not as safe a distance as I thought I was at, I'm going to take the geese arm and again try to knock it down and see if I can't make it an easier target for my allies. That's gonna be the first thing I try to do. By the way, does the +1 bonus on my geese arm apply to trip attempts with the geese arm?
Yes, it does. If you have a trip weapon, you do get the enhancement bonus of the weapon to your trip attempts.
So that's going to be a 15 to try to trip it.
15 also, which is going to hop over the blade. Once again, just avoiding it as you reel from this spell.
Going to... Let's try normal swing. Maybe I'll Hail Mary something. That's, say, 14.
Yeah, and you still have the multiple attack penalty because you do still incur that.
Yeah.
So this is 1 action.
No, I Dragon Raged.
Oh, Dragon Rage, right. All right, Esvis, and then
And
Tiny
I
Nugget.
do have light, by the way.
Yeah,
Just for
torch.
Esvis.
Oh yeah. Let me actually put your light on. You have an actual torch here. All right. So Esvis is not in complete darkness now. His buddy lights up a torch directly in front of him.
This brings back horrible memories. I will first take the hunter's aim.
Okay.
So I will ignore any cover that it has. So that shot. 26.
26 will hit.
Okay. Give me something good. 5 points of damage.
Pretty good.
And then the multi-shot. First shot. 19 total.
19 is not quite going to do it.
And third
Even
shot.
ignoring. This one doesn't ignore
This
cover
does not
anyway.
ignore cover, no.
19 still doesn't do it.
Okay. And third shot, also not ignoring cover. Even lower.
So you strike it with one more arrow, and this one does seem to notch a bit into the doll. The arrowhead burrowing into its wooden body before the force of the shot snaps the arrow off and sends the shaft twirling through the air. But once again, it just flinches very slightly as it readies its attack. Which an attack is absolutely what it is going to do, as it just continues lashing out against Tyrannus, still yelling the same thing. You can't understand what it is. It's in another. I mean, Infernal. The more educated members of the party might be able to tell it's yelling Infernal, but none of you speak it, so you don't know what it's saying. But it's saying the same thing over and over and over with every swing of this halberd. It had that quick diversion to launch a spell at you and your nearest light source, but now it's just fully focused on Tyrannus. It is going to miss again, but then it's going to hit with a second swing, and it's just going to swing a third time, which is going to miss. So it's going to land 1 hit on Tyrannus, who is going to take only 3 damage. Its tiny little doll hands don't actually appear to be hitting him terribly hard, but for a 1-foot-tall doll with a little carved halberd, through this, Tyrannus's greaves, it's clanking through. It's denting his armor.
It's a grievous
And with
wound.
that, of course, that hit literally snaps his leg back. There's 3 lethal damage coming out of a tiny little doll.
Yeah.
And so Tyrannus is just going to swing back. And he is going to miss with all these massive swings before he just steps backwards away from this. I'm not bringing you anywhere. What do you want? And kind of looks at the rest of the party like confused.
Do you know what it's saying?
Resme and then Rare.
Resme will look at the thing and say, now I know why Mother never let me play with dolls. And she will use a produce flame to try to light the thing on fire.
All right. Give me a spell attack roll.
That's going to be a 20.
20 will miss.
Okay.
As it, again, just dances out of the way. This tiny doll, but so mobile
You
as
know
the
what?
fire splashes on the ground next to it.
Take that.
Session reroll, boys.
Try my shiny die. Oh, so 21.
Butter.
21 will miss.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
Wow! This thing is nimble, and it is incredibly hard to get a beat on.
She'll look at it and she'll go, what gives? And she'll throw up a shield.
Rare. Buddy, you're on deck.
Obviously, it's some evil machinations. I'll pop a shield up in front of myself to farther defend myself from this horrible little
Start
doll.
with shield, because you're seeing this thing literally dodge like fireballs coming out from Mesmer. It's juking almost everything.
But you know what it can't juke? The light. It juked the light.
I'll take that session roll,
That's-
thank you.
And that's a 13, 19 on the die, so that's another 27.
The 27 hits. I mean, it's not that
it
high.
can't juke the light.
Every rolls.
That's a bonus right there.
All right, so that is 7 damage. 7 good damage.
As opposed to 7.
Bad damage.
Lawful damage.
Mediocre damage.
And at this point, that attack actually completely blasts off one of its wooden arms. It's wielding this little carved halberd in one hand, just flinging it around.
It's like a toothpick.
It is. Yeah, it is. It pretty much is a toothpick. Like it's a ruler basically that he's just beating Tyrannus with, but with
Very
kind of surprising
efficiently,
shot.
yeah.
It's free arm as this light blows into it and surges through it. Actually, just pops the left arm off, where it just clatters across the floor back into the rubble.
Man, can you imagine what the nuns of the Order of the Nail are like? I mean, good lord.
This is just a doll.
This is what they let their kids play with to get to be accustomed to the Order of the Nail.
Buddy, Dalren, you're on deck.
I'm going to try and set, because he's on like wood kind of rubble, or
Yeah, it's the whole room is this mix of broken fragments of everything else that was once in the room. Other than this massive war table, which seems like it was too big to be easily destroyed, and some assorted stuff. But it is mostly wood and upholstery. And I mean, the thing's on a carpet also in front of you, so there's plenty of flammable stuff in front of you.
well, I will try and set the floor on fire.
All right, just I guess give me an attack roll.
Okay.
And we'll see, because like you can definitely hit the floor, but is it going to catch? I mean, you're not like slamming it as hard as you
It's
can.
a
obviously.
19 on the die. What kind of attack? Just regular attack?
I mean, 19 on the die, I think, is solidly going to do it regardless. I think at that point you have,
What's the AC of a carpet?
I don't know, like 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and...
But it has a massive stealth bonus for monkeys.
I'm going to put our old friend, Just the Fire, right here on the ground. Turn that on. As once again,
We have
our
set
solution is to set the room on fire.
Well, it's
It
wood.
works.
It is. I mean, it is succeeding. Can't really argue with it. But now there is a blaze as this ancient, dusty carpet and these splinters of wood from furniture in front of Buford start to catch as he lowers the torch down. The fire spreads towards this doll.
And then that's probably my
And Tyrannus
three
is just
action.
gonna. Are you serious?
You have any better ideas, Mister?
Hit the thing! Like
You seem to be taking some pretty good blows from it.
that was one action.
That was one action. Oh,
You just
okay.
hit the
You
floor.
Yeah, you just cut.
you
You
just went
just
like
you had a
this.
lit torch and you just like spread it
I
on the
thought
floor.
it was like fire poking it in the hero, like poke, 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 poke.
It's old dusty carpet. It's like it caught. It's on fire now.
Oh.
Can I just shout something really quick?
Sure.
Get off the carpet.
You can interject a quick thing out of combat. Or out of
Okay.
your turn. That's fine.
So that first one was a strike action.
Sure.
Lighting the carpet. Was a
Yeah.
strike
So without the
action?
attack trait, yes.
Okay. Well, I guess I will step off the carpet and raise my shield.
Having
I ain't
successfully lit the center of the room, it is time to back up. Dalren, Espis, you're on deck.
So Dalren is just completely done with this thing. Draconic contempt has come over his countenance, and this thing is just ridiculous. So he's gonna drop his geese arm, and he's gonna grab the carpet, and he's just gonna flip this thing and just try to roll it up in the burning carpet.
Okay. I'm going to call that a grab, which is an athletics check. And you're going to take the carpet over to the creature with you and attempt to roll it up in a bunch
Yeah,
of
I'm just
fire.
gonna throw the thing over it and then just keep rolling it as it's burning. I might take some fire damage.
So give
for
me
this.
an athletics check here.
Athletics check. Yes, there we go. That's gonna be a total of 23.
All right, so I would say using the burning carpet, you have successfully restrained the tiny doll in this massive cloth and fire and dust. And that's a step to get closer to him and one action to grab him. And mechanically, he is now grabbed. He's immobilized. He can't move unless he escapes.
Okay, great. And he's rolled up in this carpet that's on fire. I'm just gonna say, keep lighting it on fire. We need to burn this trash. And he'll just start taking it. He'll use his own flint and tinder to try to keep the fire going.
Oh my god, he pulls out his own flint. Espis.
Even Espis, even I'm just going, why?
Don't worry, Espis. We've got this under control. As I high-five Dalren in the corner.
I sincerely doubt that,
Nope,
buddy.
we've got it. We've got it.
Well, good news, arrows could probably pierce through this old carpet, so...
I'm just gonna take another hunter's aim and ignore
Ignore the cover from the carpet.
Ignore the literal cover.
All right?
The carpet's not there for you. You see past this.
All right.
This
We're
guy.
ignoring the covers.
I'm pretty sure he's flat-footed.
Yes, he is. That little little bastard.
Come on. I want to see.
All right. A natural 20.
Hold up in this flaming carpet.
Teamwork.
With
makes the
Dalren
dream
holding
work.
him down with a foot, and like Dalren and Buddy both leaning over this, their flint and he's trying to light this more on fire.
He's gonna roll max damage.
Tyrannus has gone from terrified to just like, what are more terrifying for a different reason. Espis just takes one shot and puts an arrow just boop, exactly into this ball of carpet here.
Okay. So I get the D8 and it's deadly D10. So.
Yup, and then double. Wait,
Double D8 plus D10.
no, he's not immune to critical hits. Nope, I had to check the great list of things he's immune to. Critical hits. Paizo doesn't like giving critical hit immunity to things because it doesn't feel good, but I had to double check. I agree.
Fair. So 14 damage just from the arrow, and then an additional 4 from the deadly. So 18 points of damage from the arrow.
What do you do, Espis? I'm honestly glad it went to you and not one of these psychopaths. What do you do? What happens?
No, stop it. Seriously, and just waiting until Dalren's hands are like out of the way, where he's like trying to like lift back up to go to
grab his flint and
to
tinder,
grab,
yeah,
to
to
grab
set
his
it more
flint-
on fire.
to grab his flint and tinder. So that's whenever I see the opening and just stick the arrow just straight in the center of the doll.
And I mean, you can't even really see the thing through the carpet that's wrapped around it, but this carpet is flailing and writhing as the doll tries to force its way out. And as this arrow lands, it just sits, burning on the ground. Tyrannus immediately steps forward and, for 2 reasons, starts stomping on the wad of carpet here. Again.
Is this what your childhood was like?
No! Why do you set everything on fire as your first response?
I didn't see you having any luck with it. I feel like Dalren's just a genius.
It immobilized it and made it an easy target. Once it was wrapped up in the carpet and couldn't respond with its crazy dodges, it actually was an easy target for Esvis to pin it closed.
You know, Dalrin, I'd give you my hat right now if I didn't think it'd mess up your tiara.
It's a headband
Master Dalren, that was
made
very...
of metal with a gem in the... Okay, it's kind of a tiara now that you think.
Master Dalren, that was very clever.
Ah, well, it just seemed to make sense to me at the time.
Besides, Esvis, you know, I just trying to help you out. I knew you could hit that thing. It took some good hits from you. You're just... That thing about the pine cone from 200 meters away isn't a lie here. It is... I know you've got a pretty good shot.
So, Tyrannus, were you understanding what it was saying?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What was it saying?
Take me with you, over and over.
Take me with you while it tried to go and break your
Stop
leg?
beating me. Look at this. And he bends down and you can see the dents in his greaves where this thing has just hammered away. I don't know what to make of this creation. This is not normal. This is not something we just have around. This is
I'm glad.
Seemed
monstrosity.
quite evil to me. I'm glad we took care of it. I'm sure glad we have Rur here too.
Well, like I said, it was likely a shard of someone's soul trapped in that doll.
But why?
I have no way of knowing why, just that's what it was.
This.
I think we need to keep exploring and see what else we find. Maybe there'll be an explanation.
It's possible that this is something that the Hell Knights may have used to guard these vaults.
This.
Seemed quite effective.
In all of my studies, then again, I am not a signifier. I have learned nothing of sentient, magical, doll beasts, and he just kicks the wad of carpet again, still kind of smoldering, defending anything. They're too small to be of any tactical use beyond defending a single chamber. Eventually, gestures at the boggards.
They did a
Clearly,
pretty
we know
good
what
job.
happened here.
Yeah, exactly. The boggarts tried to go catch this thing too with failed results. They didn't think of the carpet.
You may need to change your, strategy approach here. See, I feel like you should go more for effectiveness rather than some of your strategies, since, clearly it worked real well.
I did tell you to squish it.
He just stands up real straight, puts the pommel of his helmet in the ground. You are not attempting to lecture me on tactics.
Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to do here, because I'll have you know, you didn't seem to be doing a whole lot, so your strategy, if it was written in a book
fast.
somewhere,
It was very fast.
well, then you should
It
try
was
something
fast.
else.
I don't think
strategy has
conventional
to-
strategy applies to dolls.
Thank
We
you,
had to kind of
Rur.
come up with something on the fly. It seems to
Yeah.
work out quite well. Is there anything else in the room aside from a very nice army of toy soldiers?
No, there is that doll wadded up in a burnt carpet, and there's these little obsidian figurines kind of scattered all over the ground. But nothing else really, just rubble and ruin, 4 doors leading elsewhere. But
That reminds me. Are Hell Knights allowed to get married?
typically, though I do not believe it is outright disallowed, such unions are largely a waste of time, unless they, of course, serve a purpose, such as to bear a child. Beyond that, it is just something I have not heard much interest in, I suppose. Why?
Oh, nothing. Just wondering.
I would imagine that Hell Knights are not particularly fans of being dolled up.
I hate all of you. I want to find my ring and go back to Mauricia.
Well-
And leave this hell world.
As I recall, the top area seemed to be well traveled. If your ring wasn't in the possession of any of the cultists, it may be in the lower passageways. Perhaps we should check there.
Take your 2 signets while you're at it.
There might be
Two
Is
another.
that
boggart
2 more
bodies that
signets?
have 2 Cinderclaws
Let's go
signets.
get those 2 more
There might be
Thank you for
another
reminding
doll
me.
if we're to take the path least traveled as an example here.
I cannot imagine there be more of whatever these are, but I could not have imagined there would have been one of them, so...
There's a reason they didn't use either of these doors, so you never know.
And he just at the bug as it appears they tried at some point.
I'm gonna pick up a couple of the dolls and stick them in the little
figurines?
the obsidian things and stick them in my pack just because they're of interest.
They're also a really fine make.
Like,
and
they're just beautiful.
Yeah, they're carved, polished obsidian. Like, certainly they are worth an amount of money. They're not little cheap figures. They're very well made.
I'm gonna pick up as many of
figurines.
them as I can.
So, I mean, even just to sell them, they would be worth a decent amount of money.
I would walk over to Esvis and kind of a private conversation here a little bit, kind of turn away from the others. Esvis, you may want to take this Hell Knight boy under your wing. He seems a little bit lost and a little delusional. You know, he might be out here because, you know, maybe the Hell Knights might have thought he was a little bit slow or something. So you may want to take him under your wing and teach him something. Maybe, because he could be a good Hell Knight someday. I believe in him. He's got something in him. I'm sure of it.
Oh, please, God, let him not hear that.
Buddy, when you teach your boys to chase down the horses, do you do it by the book, like you were taught, or do you tell them to figure it out?
I guess that's a good point. I normally just loose them out there and see if they bring them in or not.
To give Tyrannus some credit, he has been taught by the book, and we were taught to do it on the fly.
Damn books, they're messing everyone up.
Burr, do you have anything for frostbite?
Oh gosh, I forgot.
Perhaps.
He's a little injured.
I'll just start digging through the bandages and the salves that I have. Hold up one. It might help. I'm not particularly experienced at dealing with cold magic, but it works for typical cold ailments.
I'll give it a try.
So
Goodness gracious, I don't care for the cold at all.
I reckon
You
I'll
live here.
go on ahead.
I
and
ran out of money. I had to settle down and get a job.
And there's a much higher temperature difference between cold magic and a cold hilly
That is
area.
fair. You are getting hit with 15 lethal damage worth of freezing cold. So that's not like, oh, it's nippy outside. That's like sub-zero laser beam.
So just rubbing that salve on with a battle medicine. I got a 16
2d8 healing.
for 10.
Thank you.
Do
That
you
will
want my
largely
scarf,
treat it.
Master?
Oh, it's very generous of you. Thank you. But I think the cold has mostly been taken care of by now.
Are you sure? Because you can have it.
Maybe I'll take you off for it when we go outside.
Buford, Esvis, what are you doing? We need to move.
Oh, nothing. See. Nothing. We're ready to go.
So what is the plan? South?
Yep.
North?
I think south, perhaps, since the northern area seemed fairly well traveled, meaning that if your ring was there, it may have been discovered.
There. I cannot disagree. Well, then, which door?
Perhaps if we take the one on the closer to the entryway, it may make it so that we don't leave any empty space behind us as we travel.
Swinging this door inward into the room, you travel forth into a massive antechamber, decorated with all sorts of remnants of homages to the Order of the Nail's most storied and most impressive deeds. And I'll move this down here so we have a little bit of a better angle on it. The walls are still set with tall oil paintings. Near floor to ceiling, massive portraits, most, if not all of them, somewhat damaged, but largely still recognizable, depicting Hell Knights getting the upper hand in clashes with bandits, monsters, on the field of war, and standing armies.
Are these portraits or murals? Like, are they on the wall?
They're set framed portraits.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not painted on the wall, but again, most of them have suffered a decent amount of damage. Most of them are largely torn up, some of them almost eradicated entirely. And as Tyrannus looks around this, wow, I'm surprised they left all of this.
Well, it's kind of
Nice.
big. Maybe they couldn't carry it?
It looks expensive, though. I mean, someone worked very hard. I mean, even the figurines in the war room, you'd think they would fit into a case that you could take with you. I don't understand. The armor in the entryway.
Wait.
Here.
And Tyrannus steps out away from the group of you towards the corner on the southern end, towards one of the paintings. which looks like it's mostly undamaged. Just has some discoloration on the edges. He stands up and looks it up and down. I have seen this. Yes! Look here. And he's pointing down at the corner of the painting. Like 20 feet
go
away from
take
the
a
rest
look
of
at
you.
it.
Go look at it.
So,
put the light up next to it.
As you move over, you can see the small signature down the corner of the frame, smeared from the water damage down here. R. Horde.
Ah,
Yes, I recognize this.
A relative of yours?
Yes, a great uncle, I believe. Perhaps great uncle. Distant family trees have always lost me once we've gone beyond the initial branches, but
Well, that's
I-
interesting.
I assumed this would have been lost. I knew it was here, but I came here searching the signet. I assumed portraits, art such as this would have been looted or defiled long ago.
oh, Tyrannus, this seems to indicate that your family was more than simply stationed here. Perhaps they were someone of some importance.
We lived here. Yes, some time ago.
But
Some
not all residents
generations.
have portraits, particularly none this grand up on the
And,
walls.
and this portrait depicts it's 3 Hell Knights standing near shoulder to shoulder, arms raised against a massive black dragon in a dark, expansive swamp. And there's a 4th Hell Knight, halberd raised in 2 hands overhead, leaping above the dragon, above its back, descending down towards the head. And in the background, a Hell Knight with white robes and a hood pulled up, similar to the obsidian figurines, kneels down over a fallen body, tending to it.
Does it look like it was painted on vellum? Like maybe we could wrap it up and take it with us if we got it out of the
certainly does.
frame?
Does it look restorable?
Restorable is questionable. It's really only got a bit of water damage around the edges of it and mostly around the bottom. That's incredibly hard to undo, given Galarian's ability without magic. I mean, anything is possible with wizards, but beyond that, unsure. Whether you could get it out of the frame and roll it up, that's almost certainly possible, but the painting is massive, so this would be an operation of some time. It'd
This is
probably
a
take you-
comeback
On the way
later.
out.
It'd take you like
Yeah.
10 or 20 minutes to get this thing off the wall, get it opened up, and get it rolled up safely. But for the moment, Tyrannus is still just standing there, just looking it up and down, like he's just in an art gallery.
Tyrannus, I think on our way out, we should take it down, and it looks like it's painted on vellum, so we could just roll it up and you could take it with you.
It's quite a magnificent picture. Cuts quite an image.
That's what it does.
And it's your history. It should be with you. Family is important.
I agree.
Tyrannus,
Family is paramount. And he turns back and looks at Doran.
do you know what happened here, really? Why the Hell Knights abandoned this place?
It is of meager tactical significance. Was not worth the cost of supplies and goods being shipped out here constantly to maintain the station.
If it was financial, though, you think they would have gone through more trouble to not leave so many valuable things behind.
These are difficult to transport. And while possibly worth some coins and value, art can be replaced.
Possibly, yes, I suppose, but I mean, certainly this seems significant.
To me, perhaps. To the Hell Knights, not so much.
I guess we should continue?
Yes. We should not tarry here. There is much more to be done still.
The far door appears to lead into the room that the other door and the other room led to. Perhaps, here, I'll listen at the door.
As you put your ear up against this one again, listening to hear anything, there is simple silence on the far end.
I suppose I was going to suggest we could come at it from 2 angles, but I don't hear anything.
Well, it seems that damnable doll in the war room may have dealt with whatever cultists attempt to make their way into here. This seems to be forsaken, abandoned entirely.
Perhaps
It's
we're
to
okay.
our benefit.
If I understand the layouts of this place at all, which I don't, admittedly, this is storage, vaults, an armory perhaps?
A war room, an art gallery.
Could be anything.
Well, let's find out.
Perhaps this is the doll workshop.
There's just a dozen of them. They all just look at us at once.
Just close the door.
Nope.
So as you open the door here and head inside, correct guess from Tyrannus. So Chalk went up on the board to understanding his own organization. This was clearly once an armory. Toppled armor racks are scattered all throughout this room, which is also lined among the far wall across from you with a row of anvils, hammers, tool sets, and other supplies once used by the Hell Knights to repair and construct, or not, probably not construct, but to at least maintain all of their own gear on site here. There is a surprising lack of, well, anything of actual value, because it appears that basically all armor and weapons that were once stored in here have almost holistically been pilfered at some point while this was around, because those are easy to transport and easy to sell.
Probably
And there is
some fragments got turned into dog slicers.
Yeah, there is so much scattered equipment and bits of crates and metal strewn across the room. It's almost difficult to make your way through. But you can see back on the far end of it was largely where the storage was. So,
Okay.
Dalren, go in and roll me a perception check. Searchy boy.
Ooh, Searchy boy got a Searchy 23.
23 is solid. You do see that back near the far end there does appear to be a weapon amongst the rubble, still gleaming and mostly buried in a pile.
Huh. No one came and took this. I'll walk over and take a look at it.
If this was a story, we would be about to see if Master Dalwyn was worthy.
Of pulling a weapon out of a pile of rubble and junk?
The
See,
shiny
you said,
weapon.
Your mom never read you that story?
You said you got a 23?
Yes.
So as you approach up to here, you can see the corner of a gleaming battle axe on the ground. And as you get close to it, you just barely notice, inches before disaster, that there is something directly in front of your face. Nearly invisible. Almost like a plate of glass. And as you stop, kind of startled, it bulges out towards you. As the massive ooze in the corner of the room takes form and surges forward.
Oh my. Oh my.
Take this giant
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
blob beast token.
I'm getting flashbacks.
And when we return from our break, here in a couple of minutes,
We're
will
gonna
see if we
smite
can
an ooze.
dispatch this large gelatinous creature. It's not a low-level dungeon without an ooze, is it?
No.
Is it really a Pathfinder adventure if you
No.
haven't slain a
Low-level
massive
slime
ooze
encounters.
lurking somewhere?
Well, as long as it's not like plague stones.
We'll be right
Yeah.
back, everybody.
The blood ooze.
Stay tuned.
Maybe I-
Alrighty.
Maybe I can roll higher than a
Welcome
5.
back, everybody. I mean, you're going to want to roll higher than a 5, most likely, I would imagine. Because when we left off, you had just all but literally walked straight into an ooze. Fortunately, you did not do that.
You were close. But it didn't happen.
It was close. It was a dangerous proposition. It was touch and go there for a moment. But as it surges forth to attack, we're going to need some initiative.
Okay,
And,
might be important.
Rur, I'm going to need a perception check from you to see if you get your preemptive knowledge.
Do you want this to be my perception check or
don't
my
care.
initiative? Oh, I guess they're the same roll. I'll take that for initiative, which is a 24.
Okay, so what's your perception?
23.
23 will do it. So what is... Okay, this is a 5-step process. What is your occultism modifier?
2.
Sick. All right. I want you to know that I rolled a 19 on the die for you,
How convenient.
so that you actually passed this check because you needed an 18 on the die. So I want you to know that I'm here for you.
I got us covered, guys.
This
Don't
D20
worry.
doesn't just murder you; it also rolls high when it's in your benefit.
It's just an
As you just
unbalanced
barely
die.
see this nearly transparent, almost completely invisible blob, and you just barely see it move as it reaches out towards Dalren. You recognize it for what it is. This is Ye Olden Gelatinous Cube. This thing is very, very simple because it's completely non-sentient. It's not attacking you so much as it is like a plant is attacking the sun. There just is energy and meat next to it, and it is attempting to absorb it. That is exactly what it will do if you let it. It will pull you into it and incapacitate you as you're digested. It's a general purpose bad time. You probably want to avoid that happening as much as physically possible. Is my, just general recommendation. So,
I hate the noises, by the way.
Splash, splash.
delicious oozy sounds.
Does he get any resistances?
I gotta say, no, you with the success, you only learn the basics of what
Oh,
it
okay.
does. So, I gotta say, my favorite part of running anything in Sirenscape ever is fighting oozes. Oozes are my favorite part of Sirenscape. Sirenscape has such meaty, oozy sounds, and they just make me so happy.
Thanks, I hate it.
Buddy, what's your initiative?
25. I am so on top of
Are
things
we at plus
today.
1?
Yes, he is scouting.
Mine is 25 as well.
Okie dokie. Dalren.
I am at an 18.
18. Esvis.
20.
Aha, I made gap. Resume?
26.
Okay, I need to move everybody left. I clearly underestimated just how gigantic. I'm gonna leave space down here for Tyrannus and the Ooze. I'm pretty positive that's
Pretty
where
sure
we're
he's
going.
gonna go after the ooze.
So, Ooze. What did you get, Esvis?
20.
You were
25.
Dalren.
This is 18.
Oh. Oh no.
I mean, to be fair, it makes sense.
That does.
You are would be the last to notice this here. A surprise ooze directly in front of you. And Tyrannus, are you not last? Nope, you're last. To his credit, though, he got a 15. It wasn't even that bad. Just everyone else rolled really good. Someday, Tyrannus might not be last.
I
on
mean, it wouldn't
initiative.
be a game if Tyrannus wouldn't actually, see all of our bad tactical decisions and then be able to correct us on them.
That's true. He's going to tell you why you were wrong afterward.
Yes.
Resme, you're up first, buddy. You're on deck. As you see this creature just barely take form as it starts to move.
So Resme will shout out, "It's just a big thing of ooze. Let's just leave." And then she'll throw an electric arc at it.
All right. Give me the. I thought that's a reflex save, right?
Reflex
Not an
save.
attack roll. Right. Its reflex modifier is nothing. What's your DC?
18.
It fails. It does not avoid the jolt of electricity.
7.
So as you see this hit, this bolt, this little shock, this jolt jumps across the room, hits the side of it with a crackle, and just kind of flashes through it in an instant. Its liquid form largely just dissipating it. That does almost nothing.
Start backing. I'm gonna start backing out the door.
All right, where do you want to go?
Back. Like, yeah, there we go.
Okay, it's just right out the door.
No, one square. There we go.
Get some space. Get a little bit out of here. Get some range here, buddy. And Ruri, you're on deck.
I'm gonna step forward and bring. There's an overhead. Just try and smoosh this. Piece of sludge. I don't know what this thing. Ooh, okay. I'm going to hero point that as a natural 1.
All right, fair enough.
That is going to be our session.
Lose the hammer into the ooze.
Oh no!
It's very hard.
It's just gone.
I have made a
Okay.
terrible
It's a
decision.
terrible mistake. Okay, that was a 14 on the die, which is a 22.
A 22 critically succeeds. However, there is nothing to critically succeed on. It's just
Right.
kind of one contiguous mass of gel. So you hit it. It cannot be critically hit.
Okay, for 6 damage.
All right. 6 damage. And your hammer seems like it is perfectly effective at just kind of splapping through this and slapping away little bits of jelly, sending them just flying away from the main bulk of the thing. However, there is a lot of bulk of the thing. And the
Yeah.
amount of damage that does is nearly nothing compared to just how much is there.
Okay, and then I'm going to move. Okay, so that's 5, 10. I'm going to move just south of Tyrannus.
All right. You step up, swing, step back. So Ruhr then, and Esvis, you're on deck.
I'm not sure we should mess with this. We might want to just back off and let it eat the boggart bodies. And I'm going to blast it with a ray of enfeeblement, attempting to weaken it before the inevitable onslaught it is about to perform.
Okay.
That is a natural 1, so I'm assuming that the hole created by Buddy's smash goes right through, does nothing.
And Dad, I think this thing is massive. This thing is 8-10 feet across. He's not putting a hole through the thing. You're just shooting a ray of enfeeblement. It just kind of hits it, and
Fizzles.
yeah, nothing happens. Like, it's just a blob.
And-
Either there just wasn't enough force, it wasn't a powerful enough spell, or who knows with this thing.
And I will move out to behind Resme.
Take the light
One more.
and retreat. All right, Esvis. In the doorway here. Everyone's just resume and we're just pushed past you immediately.
Tyrannus, I think they have the right idea. Hunt prey. And then hunted shot for 2 shots, even though I know that I'm essentially just,
Splashing in a pool.
splashing in a pool. Exactly. You go to the beach. I can do it.
Dang you, Poseidon!
So first shot, 19 armor class,
19 will hit.
and second shot, 15 armor class.
15 will hit. It's not difficult to hit the near motionless 10-foot cube of goo. It would be difficult to miss. I would be disappointed in you.
I would be disappointed in me. 12 points of damage. It is combined with hunted shot for the purposes of overcoming resistances and all that jazz.
All right, so you splash 2 arrows one after another, slamming into this thing before it's like shooting ballistics gel. They go in and just kind of slow to a stop, and you can already see the wood fizzling and bubbling. But bits of this splash out as it connects. Like, you're doing damage. You are wearing through the thing.
So everyone agreed, and Esvis just backs all the way back. Just gets right over here next to her, and that's the end of my turn.
All right. As this ooze lunges out towards Dalren,
Oh boy.
it doesn't just reach. It starts to slide so fast that it almost falls over itself as it drags. I mean, it's not particularly fast, but with so much force, and it accelerates phenomenally quickly, sliding across the room into the doorway. And I need a reflex save from Dalren and Buddy.
Oof.
You got it.
I do not have a reroll. That's a total of a 9.
no!
Can I give my gold coin to someone?
No.
Oh.
No.
So, Buddy,
15.
you are both picked up by this ooze as it just rolls over the two of you into the corner.
I love it.
That works really well, actually.
Tyrannus, fortunately, is able to get out of the way. He makes the speed rolls where it matters, which apparently is not initiative. And as this thing just runs you over, it doesn't have much force. It doesn't impact you or anything. It's literally like a giant pile of jello that just... And now you're just inside it as it continues moving. But as it pulls you in and does close around you, you immediately start... You realize you can't breathe. You're in a giant pile of ooze. Additionally, each of you takes 4 acid damage.
And this slime starts to question eating such
It's not an attack.
Pokemon. It says an enemy damages your ally. It is not an attack.
Fair enough. It's not actually... Okay, because this
So
is
it
actually not an
questions-
attack. It doesn't even have the attack trait. It literally just
Yeah.
runs you over.
It questions eating Dalren for a moment.
It is not sentient. Does Glimpse of Redemption have the mental trait?
It doesn't really say on here. It just says trigger an enemy damages your ally, and both are within 15 feet of you.
Well, I believe we looked before and it doesn't, so for now we'll look up, before it comes back to your turn, look up if it has the mental trait. But I'm going to say that it is wholly incapable of any kind of redemption or even contemplating the concept of an alignment, so it's just enfeebled too. And Dalren is going to take 0 damage, because you take 4 off, right?
Yeah.
So Dalren takes nothing. Or you take 1.
Min's-
Okay,
yeah,
Min's
yeah,
1
Min's
now.
up
You
to
take
1.
1 damage. Buddy, you take 4. As you stand firm, trying to show the error of this ways to the pile of jello, and it runs you over too.
Regret your oozy life.
I also need both of you to make a fortitude save.
Please be better.
You get to roll a lot of dice, though. You get to participate via dice rolling a lot.
Yay.
Okay, well, Taraka here is really insistent on not having me roll a 2. So he lets me roll a 7, which is much better. So that's, a 15.
And I get a 22.
Buddy, you are paralyzed.
Oh my god.
You are completely unable to move.
Oof.
Suspended in stasis inside this thing as you just dissolve. So, it is then going to once again attempt to consume Tyrannus, because Tyrannus is right there. However, it is now enfeebled too.
Oh god, that was only 1 action. This thing is terrifying.
That was just its first action, buddy.
This thing is terrifying.
I hate oozes.
And it is going to hit Tyrannus. Tyrannus is going to take 2 damage.
Oh, it actually whacked him.
Yeah, this is a whack. It already rolled across the room, and now it's just like a big, almost pseudopod as a face of it almost detaches and just slaps down on him. And you see Tyrannus also lock up in place, paralyzed. It is now his turn, which he's going to spend frozen with his halberd raised, ready for the swing. You could see his eyes move a bit in his head, but he's completely unable to move. And at the end of his turn, he is still paralyzed. Resme, buddy, you're on deck. Now you've put some hits into this thing. You've taken some out of it. It's lost some mass. But it doesn't look like retreat's an option for the whole team.
All right. Resume will think for a minute. And try to get an angle, move back, but try to get an angle on it so that she can still see the ooze.
I mean, you can see it. It's huge. It's like the door frame is just ooze.
She's gonna try to see if maybe more bludgeoning and less elemental damage might hurt it more. So she'll toss a telekinetic projectile its way.
All right. There's plenty of assorted rubble around the area to just fling towards them.
It's gonna be a 20.
Did you hit it? You hit it. It's not hard to hit.
I know.
You successfully hit it.
Take 6 bludgeoning.
6 bludgeoning damage as this projectile hits into it and again just comes to a stop, just barely kind of touching Buddy's armor. And you notice the arrow that Esphus had shot in, the rock that you flung, fizzled a bit and bubbled as they entered, but that faded nearly immediately. It's not actually dissolving those. The arrow is still just floating inside you, and you can see the same bubbling covering over Dalren and Buddy as they're inside it. But in just seconds, it fades away from their armor and their weapons, only remaining on their exposed skin.
And because I have one more action
Do you
left,
want to not move?
I'm going.
I had you. I thought you wanted to step back and do it. Okay.
Well, I wanted to step way back though. That's what I was trying to tell you.
We're going the back.
Yeah, that's what I meant. There we go.
We're leaving. We're going somewhere else.
Well, I saw how fast that thing moves.
I did roll across the armory. It doesn't look like it. You're definitely faster than any of you are, but it's not molasses. It can move surprisingly quickly.
May I cut in?
Yes.
Okay. So Dalren is going to kind of like wide-eyed and panicked a little bit. He's going to see that, oh my god, Buddy is over here and not moving. He's going to grab Buddy. Just grab him by the collar or the hilt of his armor. Do I need to roll for that?
To grab a hold of him? No, you're good.
Okay. Then he's going to take his geese arm with his other hand, reach out of the ooze, and hook it onto debris or the wall to haul us out.
You try to push this geese arm out, but it's just too much bulk to try to move through this thing's mass. Now that you're inside it, though, it just kind of absorbs you like it was pudding. It's surprisingly restrictive, and you can barely move the geese arm at all. That is going to be... You need to either make an athletics, an acrobatics, or an unarmed strike, as if you were grabbed.
Okay.
You are also slowed 1.
Okay. So,
It's just, I think that's everything.
I can, yeah, I think that's, yeah. No. Okay. And, but it's not, is the geese arm being more hindrance than our thing, or is just what it's like just being in this
It's just
thing?
what it's like being in the ooze. Although, like, you definitely could
nat
not.
20.
Ooh, okay.
Natural 20, 27 total to force me my way out of this and drag Buddy
So
with
as
me.
one action, you grab onto Buddy, and with a critical success, you are able to draw both of you free from the ooze. You force that geese arm out and pull the two of you free with great effort.
All right.
And,
Next
that's-
priority is get Buddy away from this thing.
Well, that's your grab him and get out of your 2 actions, and you're slowed 1.
Oh,
So,
slowed.
Slowed
is,
1 is you only have 2 actions.
Oh,
So you get out, but then it's going to be Buddy's turn, and Buddy is still paralyzed.
Yeah.
So make me a fortitude save.
Fortitude save. God. Okay. Well, I guess Arcades is also helping here.
Arcades.
Arcades.
Arcades, I think.
Arcades. Because that was a natural one.
Stop rolling natural ones.
So that was better. That was better. That was 18.
18. You can still feel. You still know what's going on around you. You feel yourself pulled out of this slime. You can still feel the burning and the tingling on you from where this ooze had contacted your skin. But you're completely locked. Your muscles are like, they're not responding. You are wholly and completely unable to move. You are still paralyzed. Rur, Esphus, you're on deck.
Esphus, I don't know that there's anything I can do here. Let Sarenrae guide your arrows. I'm gonna cast Magic Weapon on you.
Woo!
Oh, it's go time.
I don't know what that does.
Your bow is now a +1 striking bow.
Oh.
So you get +1 to attack, and you roll 2d8 for damage.
Ooh, how long does that last?
A minute.
A minute. Yeah. For the rest of this.
Yeah. Long
Magic
enough.
weapon is a 6 spell in second edition.
Long enough to kill it or for all of us to be eaten.
And then I'll pop up shield because I don't have anything else to do.
Maybe it will help deflect the blob. Which is going to just roll. Oh, Esphus, sorry. That was Rur. I was talking to you about your weapon and I forgot because actually that wasn't your turn. That was Rur's turn. Esphus, go ahead. I'm so excited about my
So excited about your blob. You're just like,
So excited about my blob.
All right, so I will definitely also move back into longbow range. I have to get all the way back here behind just to make sure. I can still see.
Yeah, it's like the whole doorway. If you can see the doorway, you're fine.
Okay, and
It kind of splapped up against the wall and a bit of it bulged out before it like bowed back.
fair enough. All right, and I will take the hunted shot for 2 shots.
You got +1 to hit. Shouldn't matter, but you got +1 to hit.
We never know. First shot. That's a total of 19.
19 hits.
And second shot, total of 16.
16 hits.
Okay, so striking is I add an additional die per shot.
Yes. So
You get
like
to
your
roll 4
bow
die.
damage is 2d8 right now. So you did 2d8, 2d8.
Okay, so for the purposes of hunted shot, it says all of my damage is rolled together for the purposes of overcoming resistances. So
Okay.
I'm assuming that also means the striking as well?
I mean, the
just-
striking is just part of your base damage.
Yeah, it
now,
just
so
adds more
it would
to your
It would
base.
get rolled in regardless. Like, it makes your bow just do 2d8 damage instead of 1d8. Like,
Okay.
that's the base weapon damage at the moment.
Okay, all right.
But you don't feel like it's resisting your arrows at all anyway. But, I
Okay.
mean, just roll me some dice.
Thank you.
That's some rolls.
Total of 23 points of damage.
Woo!
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Arrows are cavitating in that thing.
So at this point, the thing, yeah, both of these now with the magic thunder into the side of this, they don't just hit like a, they hit with a blast of magical energy, a concussive force. Boom, boom, as they both connect, blowing away chunks of this is. At this point, it started to visibly lose mass. It is getting smaller, and it's very much getting shorter, as it seems to bulge upward on its top as its sides sag down. That was only 2 actions.
So I will take a third shot.
Shoot him!
15 with the
Hits.
magic weapon.
It's not hitting it is not the challenging
so sorry.
part of the encounter.
I got attacked by dice.
How
Yes,
how's it
sorry.
going to feel to do 68 damage in 1 round?
6 more points of damage.
6 more points of damage.
Thank you.
I would say that was a pretty value spell.
That was a
That's pretty
great
good.
spell.
That's pretty good. And now the blob is going to just roll its way back across the room. Just back towards the things that it can sense are there. And Tyrannus and Buddy don't get a save. You're paralyzed. There's nothing you can do to stop this thing from rolling you up.
Oh boy.
Dalren gets a save.
Get out of the way!
Oh, God.
That's a 10.
But he is also absorbed as
Oh,
the cube turns back to its resting point, absorbing all 3 of you left in the armory and settling down. Content
We're
to
just gonna
digest
put
its meal.
all 3 of you over here, and you're inside the blob.
This thing is coming back to you for more like Dirt Pier goes for plates at Ocean Buffet, man.
Both of you and Tyrannus are going to take 6 acid damage.
Can I?
You cannot. You are paralyzed. You can't take any
It's a
actions or
mental.
reactions.
It's a.
But it's a reaction. You the
Oh,
only
okay.
action you can take. Well,
It
no.
says.
Only the use of
and
your mind.
Yeah,
action-
you can go. I'll let you
It's
go
just
through
a
redemption.
thought that
Yeah, it
does
is
it, right?
literally. There's you just. It is just the
Yeah,
thought.
my eyes are moving, and I'm like,
It's the thought that
Oh, I know you did. Just pull it right back up. Who's getting it? Tyrannus or Dalren?
I guess Dalren. Tyrannus hasn't really taken any hits, has he?
Neither of them have taken it.
Oh,
Like
okay,
the
I'll
thing is
just
not
do
doing a
Dalren.
ton of damage. It's just
Okay,
absorbing
yeah.
you
I'll
up and
just. I'll
paralyzing you.
do.
Okay, so Dalren, you take 2. Buford, you take 6. Tyrannus also takes 6.
Okay.
Oh boy.
And now it is the turn of the Dalren. Make me a fortitude save. Guy who is not paralyzed. You're paralyzed.
I'm paralyzed.
It's a card. Tyrannus is paralyzed. So at the end, roll me another fortitude save because you failed the initial, so you are paralyzed.
Oh God, that's a 2 on the day.
So you're still paralyzed at the end of your turn. Tyrannus is still paralyzed at the end of his turn.
And let me put that one in the jail too.
This is also the enemy's die.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
fine.
leave it.
You want me to have a bad die. So, Resume. And then, Buddy,
Oh right.
you're on deck for what that's
Alright.
worth.
Resume's running back
Sad slide whistle.
because she no longer
5,
sees her
15.
friends.
So 1 stride gets you back where you were. It'd take you 2 strides to get into the room where you can
I
see it.
don't want to get into to see it. I can't see
well,
it from here.
You can go like up into this corner and see it, but
Yeah.
that's still 2 strides because the first stride actually only gets you to right here, which just isn't
With
quite
30
far
move
enough.
speed?
Oh, you have 30, right?
No,
Elf
no,
powers.
half elf. 25.
Half.
25. Yeah,
Oh.
okay. That's what I thought. Yeah, you only get to right here with your first stride. So you would need a second one. It would literally just be a step
That's
to
fine.
get up against the wall to where you can see it, but you will be left with only 1 action left.
With
Dark
1
and focus
action,
pings are so
I will use guidance on Esvis.
All right. So you get what's guidance?
It's a essentially she'll say Alcetta's magic guide you, and you'll get a +1 till the end of your next turn. So for 1 action to pretty much
For 1 turn or for 1 action?
No, for one action, I think.
You get to
Okay.
use it on any
You get
one
to use
action.
it on
your
any
next
one
action.
action.
Next D20 roll is
It's
next
just
action is
+1.
The way that guidance works is you get it, and then you have a round to use it. If you don't use it, it
Oh,
goes
you,
away.
you
It
don't
goes
have
away.
To, okay, so
No,
you
you
at
don't
any
have
point
to.
can spend it on any one of your
But it's
rolls
gonna go away if you
before you
don't.
roll, but you have 1 round to use it. All right, fair enough. Buddy, roll me a fortitude save.
All right. That is a 17.
Still paralyzed. Rur and Esvis, you're on deck.
I think I'm, for the sake of curiosity and out of options, going to move up behind Resume so I can see part of the goop.
You can see a little bit of goop in there.
And I'm
You
gonna.
can see the light shining out from the middle from Dalren. All 3 of them frozen in place, paralyzed in the center of this ooze, which is now just sitting. It's not moving at all anymore. It's just existing.
I don't know if a thing with no brain can be evil, but I have no other options. I'm going to try throwing a divine lance at it to see if good might smite this creature.
Your spear passes straight through the creature, not even interacting with it. And as a matter of fact, roll me a d6.
3.
Okay. I was going to give it a 1 in 3 chance. It also did, in fact, hit Tyrannus, who is evil, who would have taken... Because it's literally like it's not there. It just doesn't interact with those things through the wall behind. The creature is not evil. It just exists. It's just hanging. It's just I hesitate to say the natural order of things, but when you're a gelatinous cube, this is
your life.
This is the most natural order of things for a gelatinous cube.
This is your life now.
All right, Esvis, and then Ooze Boy.
So I will move.
That's one. You 25?
I have 30.
Because he's a real elf.
That's 1 stride also gets you to that same place, which is just not far enough. Because it's 5, 15, 20, 30. Every other diagonal is 10.
Okay, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm in longbow range without taking a penalty here.
I don't think that's possible. I don't think there's anywhere you can stand to see it that's outside 30 feet.
Is that?
It's around the corner.
It's like fully around the corner.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just.
You'd have to move into the doorway to be able to see it.
That's
Even
fine.
if you were in Rouge space, you still wouldn't be 30 away. But like right here is as far as you can.
That's fine. I'll just take the volley
All right,
penalty.
So it'll be 2 actions to get there. Because it's right outside 30. Because 30 got you to 1 back from that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so
Same
2
problem
actions.
Resume had.
Fair enough.
You used all your speed to get away.
Yeah.
Now you got to use just as much speed to get back.
All right. I will take the hunted shot, and I will use your guidance on the second of these d20 rolls. So, first shot. 22.
Hits.
And second shot with an additional +1 is 21 total.
Also hits. Both would be crits. Were there anything vital to crit about this creature?
Fair enough.
Again,
there's vulnerable adventurers stuck in it.
there are if you could crit it. If you crit it, you hit one of the things in the middle.
Oh no!
It's a carnival game.
What are you looking for?
What were you talking about with the dunk tank earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
I got
D8?
it. Yeah, I got another D8. There we go.
4d8 of damage, though.
Ooh.
The opposite of the previous one.
Yeah, 9 points of piercing. 2 1s.
That is pretty bad. All right. You knock some more mass out. These arrows land with this thunderous concussion of magic as they connect, still weakening the creature, but it doesn't care. It's not moving anymore. It's wholly non-sentient. It doesn't even have self-preservation instincts. It's literally just existing. And everyone inside it is going to take 6 more acid damage. As it digests you. Admittedly, relatively slowly. I mean, I guess that's pretty fast in the grand scheme of things. That's digesting you to death in like 5 rounds. That's
It's like
not
taking a bath in hydrochloric acid.
Pretty much, yeah. It would be an unpleasant experience if you could feel anything. But you still can.
I'm gonna say, wait a minute, I'm paralyzed. It's actually like horrifying.
Maybe like phase 2 paralyzed. Like you guys have been in there. You've been paralyzed. Not you, but Tyrannus and Buford have been paralyzed for a few rounds now. At this point, you just wouldn't even feel anything. You would have gone numb.
It's because it's eating all your nerve endings away.
Yeah, you no longer like you can think, but your vision is fading out. You no longer feel the pain of the burning. You're just floating through a growing void.
Lovely.
Dalren, make a fortitude save.
Don't roll a 2.
21.
At the end of your turn, you regain your senses and are no longer paralyzed.
May I rage?
It's at the end of your turn.
I don't think it requires any physical action on my part to just turn on your rage.
Right, but it's at the end of your turn. You don't have any actions. The paralysis check doesn't occur.
Can recall knowledge or act in other ways that require only use of your mind?
Oh yeah.
Because you can just
while
rage.
paralyzed,
You can just be
rage.
angry.
Yeah, okay, see what you mean. I was thinking in the wrong plane here.
Yeah.
See what you
Pissed
mean.
off. His monocle slowly floats down into his pocket.
Exactly what I need.
You would absolutely be able to rage as
Okay.
you overcome the paralysis.
I will keep the lightning away from my weapon since clearly that doesn't seem to work
When you
well.
start to crackle. Tyrannus is also going to make a fortitude save. He also starts to move. His hands clench around his halberd, and he starts just barely to try to push forward as he breaks free of the paralysis. Resme.
Resme will say, "That's right, guys, get out of there!" And she'll throw another.
Team!
She'll throw another telekinetic projectile at it, trying to take more chunks out of it. Save my friends. 17.
17 hits.
I'm sorry, 16.
16 hits. It's really not difficult to land. It's not even moving anymore. It's making no attempt. It's just sitting there digesting.
Oh gosh.
It is the broadside of a gelatinous barn.
It is literally the broadside of a gelatinous barn.
5 damage.
5 damage.
And
For those of you keeping track at home, you've done 69 damage to this thing.
Jeez.
Nice.
and this time
Easily half of it is you.
At least 3/4.
she'll call out Alcetta's blessing to Dalren and give him guidance.
All right, buddy, make a fortitude save.
That is a... What is my fortitude? And my fortitude... Oh gosh, I should have been prepared. Oh yeah, it's 19.
Still paralyzed.
Oh my god.
Ver, Aspis, you're on deck. You see Dalren's monocle float off his face. You see Tyrannus start to move and reach. Buddy is frozen, as he has been for this whole encounter. He's since the ooze first ran over him, he is locked in place, stepping back with his hammer. He hasn't moved from that position since.
I'm going to put my hand on my scimitar, about to do something really stupid, and I'm going to hold.
Aspis.
Keep putting needles in the pincushion.
It's working. I mean, you are now shooting magically enhanced concussive needles into the pincushion.
So first will be hunted shot. 19.
You got the magic weapon to offset the being in volley range. Well, half offset.
Okay, so that takes it to 17, and then
They both hit.
to
for
18.
sure.
Yeah, so 17 and 18.
Hit and a hit.
Magic weapon. I like it.
That's a little better.
That's a little better. 13 points of damage,
All right. Then 82.
and then
Blob.
I'm just going to keep up with the hunter's flurry and just keep shoot.
Just 2 more actions, 2 more shots.
Move and shoot, elf.
Yeah.
Natural 20.
Well, that hits.
But it doesn't crit.
Yep,
So
it cannot
bad.
be crit. You don't get you deadly here.
No.
Feels bad. There are very few things in Pathfinder compared to a lot of other tabletops that are immune to crits. It is quite rare. But
It
oozes
makes
are-
sense for an ooze.
Yeah, oozes are
what
one of
what are you
them.
gonna crit?
8 points of damage for that arrow.
All right.
And then 4th shot.
What is your penalty on this?
With his magic weapon, I'm still getting a +3 because of Hunter's Flurry, and it's my prey.
That's amazing.
Just blinking away in the distance.
And a 19 on the die for 22, so...
If this was anything not a
22
slime,
hits.
It would just be so dead.
You're just blasting a mess out of this thing as it sags down. It's
Estes also
it's
has
not even a
monocle
gelatinous
that
cube. It's like a
Godwin-
gelatinous gumdrop almost. As it's just sinking down around its edges from all of these hits.
Magic weapon is like the greatest thing to put on Esvis.
That's only 4 points of damage.
Esvis, my dude. What do you do? 4 points of damage was the final nail it needed. What happens?
For this last arrow, I just look over at Rur and say, "May Serenray walk you down the path when you get there," and launch the last arrow just to take out the center of the mass of this gelatinous cube.
And as you hit with this impact, this concussive into the side of the thing, it seems to almost break the surface tension around the ooze. And it ripples across it in an instant as it completely loses its form. And the liquid just sinks, splashing down across the ground. Left is a thin, like, half-inch film of just viscous, acidic material across the floor.
Yeah, we're probably definitely prone.
Dropping Buford, prone, still paralyzed, still locked onto the ground. Dropping you two, Tyrannus and Dalren, prone as well. But as you begin to get your motion again, you pick yourself up out from this acid. Buford, make me a fortitude save.
Oh gosh, a 10 on
Make
the
me a
die.
fortitude save.
Come
on, buddy, get a hold of yourself.
Okay,
You
so
can
it's
do
a
it.
23.
Okay, so it'd take you another like 15 seconds to start to regain your ability to move. So
magic weapon.
in
God, so great.
Resme will let out a whoop and come over and give you a big hug.
We're hugging, okay.
Oh,
I just completely lock up, just, okay, we're hugging.
Tyrannus pulls
Here you go.
himself
Now you're
very
paralyzed.
slowly up off the ground. Ugh. He drops his halberd and with one hand reaches out and just claps Buddy's breastplate, just smacks it. Buford! Come on! Buford, it's not that bad.
how bad off do they look?
Oh, wait, that
They-
was...
Partially digested.
Yeah, they both look relatively partially digested.
Probably
I
a
would
little
say
sunburned.
Probably around 1/3 to half digested because it was the 3 beefiest people you have that got rolled up. I mean, they're injured. Like, their skin around everyone's faces and any exposed, if you have your hands or anything
red.
out, is just raw. Where it has just been rotted away.
My poor
burnt
cowboy
off
hat is
by
frayed
this
around
acid.
the edges.
Your cowboy hat is perfectly fine.
But it's rawhide.
But it has no like living
Yeah,
sustenance.
hold on. I gotta consult.
This is actually
It
happening.
actually, yep, it is fraying out your cowboy hat.
Oh.
It is, and if any of
God.
you have like all the leather bits of your armor, your pouches are also like fizzled and pockmarked where they've been dissolved.
Oh, Dalrin's wearing hide armor.
Your how much hardness does your armor have? Hide armor?
I don't know.
I think it has 2.
I believe it's 2 or 3.
Well, you can't see
I'm
it
gonna
because
give
it's
you
hide.
the benefit of the doubt and say 3. Your armor would have taken 9 damage over the course of that, and I'm actually pretty sure it did break your armor. 9 damage, I'm almost positive, would be broken if not destroyed.
Oh, fun stuff.
So,
We'll just have to scrap you together some Hell Knight plate from this room.
your hat wouldn't be so much frayed around the edges as it would just be kind of the top. Like, the brim of it is almost just completely gone, and there's now a hole where the fold is on the top of it. It's just
hat!
kind of a ring of rawhide.
I'd put my hand, just like flap my hand onto my chest and be like, hombre.
Oh.
So,
And,
like, Tyrannus hits you a couple times, and you just, hit yourself with what I assume is a
Lay on hands.
hands.
And I'd just be mourning my beautiful hat.
Does
Sorry.
everyone?
Dalrin's like pulls himself up and then like his cuirass just like slides off of him as the leather straps finally give out, and just
Oh boy.
Oh,
might need some work.
by Asmodeus. So it's not destroyed, it's just broken.
There's no stats for it. It doesn't have a hardness rating listed. It doesn't have hit points listed.
We'll
the
look
shields
it up in a
do,
sec.
but we can figure it
I'm
out.
going to go ahead and give you right now, it's got 3 hardness, 10 health, so it's got 1 health left, so you can repair it.
Okay.
But there is, Travis pulls himself up to his feet. Everything you have that is like metal or stone is completely untouched. Glass, your bottles, they're all fine. Anything leather, anything wood, even like if the halves of any of your weapons were wooden, would have been chewed away a bit. Not enough to inflict like meaningful damage to them because it's not. I just would have started to chew at that, but Tyrannus just looks over towards the doorway. Oh, what has happened to this place?
That was miserable.
Oh, Dalrin, why don't you sit down for a minute here? Let me help you.
I will admit,
Here it is.
I am admittedly surprised to
Ah,
have come back.
hardness 4.
Oh, it would have only taken 6 damage then.
And my broken threshold is 8 for a total of 16. So
Not broken!
not broken.
Still had 2 health from broken. Solid. We take those. Hide armor's a lot sturdier than I thought it was. And we're taking a new tack, by the way. You here in the Twitch chat or listening on the podcast. We're taking a new tack where I'm just going to pick something and then have them look it up while there's free time rather than stop the action to look it up now because it's 2nd edition. We're all new and there's going to be a lot of rule looking up. And a lot of the time, a lot of them we might just look up at a later occasion and come back to that knowing it next week, which is a thing we've done several times, like how rage turns off, which we have fixed and refixed multiple
I like
times.
stalking through the ruins looking for something to
I did
punch.
like the one session of that before I realized when you can't see any enemies, it just deactivates automatically.
It was
but
so
still,
good, though.
It was really funny for one session. So
I'm gonna activate ancestral memories to give myself medicine favored.
all right.
And Resme, the change will come over her. You'll see her change in posture, and Resme will go over to Dalrin, and he will start to treat your wounds. And as he does so, he'll look you very seriously in the eye and go, Master Dalrin.
Oh, thank you.
I trust that you will take good care of my sister.
Kept the cube away from her.
You have to help her. It's your job as her elder. It's your responsibility. Promise me.
Elder? What? I'm a researcher. I'll do my best, I suppose.
And
Though it's terrible form holding an educational degree over someone while they need your healing.
this is never going to stop being awkward. It's just
He bullied me. You saw him.
he did. I bore witness. I would testify to that in a Hell Knight court.
18?
18 will heal for 2d8. So as you're sitting here kind of resting, as you start tending, and Tyrannus just kicks through some of the stuff here. You saw that
9.
battle axe was sitting, or that weapon, whatever it was sitting. It's not. I don't know why I said battle axe. It's not a battle axe. The weapon that was sitting at the bottom wasn't in the center of the gelatinous ooze. And as it like rolled away, it just kind of left it there. He sort of picks it up. Well, here you go, gleaming and pristine. Hopefully, it was worth it.
Cleaned from
And
an acid bath. Thank you.
He hands the
So if
hammer
it's-
to you.
It's a hammer. It's not a
it is a
battle
war
axe.
hammer. I don't know why I said battle axe.
Okay. Gleaming and shining.
Yeah, it is a perfectly shiny, gleaming warhammer.
Doesn't have any skulls on it or anything, does it?
It does not. It does have a fairly intricate icon of some kind. It's carved into its side that works its way almost down onto the what was probably once a leather-wrapped handle, but it's now just, well, sort of a full iron bar. It's just sort of left with the tang that was once wrapped up and the head of the mallet. The rest of it is gone now. So you just have a block of iron, which functionally, although it's not the best grip in the world, is still a perfectly functional weapon.
Could probably improvise something. And, all right, well,
It's not even
Warhammer.
improvised, it's a warhammer.
I meant a grip I could buy.
Oh, yeah. And,
So, I'm gonna have to sit you down for a second. With all the burns that you have going on, you're not gonna be in fighting shape for the next few rooms.
I just really like to hug Esvis right now, but I'm.
You shouldn't be
Holding it
touching
in.
much of anything.
And
But Esvis.
Rose looks around to like 12 arrows on the ground.
Esvis, I swear, Iomade sent you here just for me, and I just can't even express the gratitude.
We wouldn't be alive without you, my friend.
Esvis, please come give me a hug.
He doesn't seem the hugging sort.
Esvis, I swear.
And I just slowly walk over, kneel down, lean forward a little bit. Almost kind of looks like someone who's like about to stick his head into a guillotine, just like leaning down for the hug.
Wrapping my arms around him so tight.
We're hugging.
Pat him on the back.
Despite the missing flesh on Buddy,
And then
it
I let
appears
you go,
this
you're
is
good.
more painful for Esvis.
This is really a godsend right there.
You're a rather dour little elf, aren't you?
Don't be insulting him. He's just got his own way of thinking.
And at this point, it looks like Tyrannus has just been like mentally tallying up how many arrows are on the ground here. How long were we in the gel for?
Far too long.
About 30 seconds? 30 seconds or so?
That is an impressive number of shots, if nothing else.
Well, it wasn't particularly hard to hit. You just had to simply fire them.
Esvis,
Sir.
your skill is remarkable, and we are in awe of it, and we owe you our lives.
I perhaps would not have been as efficient if not for Rur's assistance. I don't take compliments very well, and so and I know that normally in Pathfinder that arrows, when they're launched, they're usually useless, but in this case they didn't dissolve. And
They did just kind of bounce off of it. Yeah, I would actually say you could recover all the arrows you fired into
Ballistics
Joanna's
gel.
cube.
Yes,
You
ballistics gel.
almost literally shot them in the ballistics gel, which then fell apart and just dropped them onto the ground unharmed. So yeah, absolutely you can recover all
Thank
those
you.
arrows.
Matt rolled a 20 on diplomacy there. I like it.
So,
And
I suppose...
I would also say scattered throughout this armory, you would probably be able to find about like 20 more arrows too, because they didn't-
hot dog.
they would have
like
looted
3
like
left.
individual arrows. They're not gonna loot to go sell when they could be hauling out all of the swords and mallets and shields and armor. So they're just kind of scattered around. 20 more arrows just spread throughout this room.
Can we
a
find
kid.
anything else of interest checking the room over? I mean, I
Well,
know it's
of
been
interest
looted.
is that after treating you, which did we get how much you were healed for? I know you succeeded, but I didn't know if we got the 2d8.
Oh, yeah, no, I wound up with getting 9 back.
Okay, nice.
And I also would have treated Buddy.
Okay, so roll me a medicine check. You're like spending 10 minutes discussing your
I pass.
exploits here. Buddy will get 2d8 back as well. And Tyrannus finally kneels down in the corner and reaches
9.
down to his hip.
Almost a full.
I'm just-
One away.
Kind of pauses a couple times and looks down and sees that his pouch is completely gone. Oh, you have got to be kidding me.
I
Well?
will go over to Tyrannus and pull out my medicine kit. You
And
may
with-
do it yourself, or I can.
And he takes the stuff from you. So thank you, Esvis.
His wounds were just treated.
I thought
Oh
you
right,
just-
no, his wounds were treated before you guys came here. That's
That-
right.
that's why
He
I
actually-
didn't treat
right,
his
he's-
wounds.
because you treated him before, or immediately before leaving. That was waiting the hour to treat him a second time.
Mm-hmm.
So he will like bandage himself up and try to like put some stuff around him, but he can't mechanically heal any health off of it.
Okay.
And I'm gonna look at Esvis. Bless his heart.
So, as you're all patching up and you start to peer through the room here, and Resme becomes herself again, I
Yep.
imagine, you would cast Detect Magic back up as you have, and you would identify the presence of magic in the room.
Rory, you want to take a look somewhere? There's something somewhere.
Is there another footlocker?
There do not appear to be any like containers or anything. There were once a bunch of racks where armor and weapons were kept, but they've been thrown all over the room and smashed, and it's largely just rubble all throughout here.
Dig through the rubble, maybe. You might find
Well,
something.
then we're going to play the Read Aura game and see what we can find.
Looking through, other than the couple scattered arrows, none of which appear to turn up as magical, it's just ruins. None of the armor stands are enchanted with anything. The anvils are mundane. All of the tools seem to be mediocre.
I'm going to walk over to that hammer that's particularly shiny.
The hammer, however, is magical.
Oh, is that the one that was
Shiny
inside?
scraps found in dark, rusted places are typically not mundane materials.
You know,
Well,
you
it's
have a
also
very
in
good
a-
point.
So, the hammer, as grip dissolved as it may be, is in fact a magical item. And with 1 minute, I believe Resme can attempt to identify it. What is your arcana?
My arcana is +5.
So, you would not be able to identify what the aura is. So, you can try again.
Yeah, I'll
It's
try
gonna take
again.
you- This is going to take you a little longer. You spend another minute doing it. After 2 minutes, she's unsure. Perhaps it's clouded by the amount of dissolved it has been. Perhaps it's a particularly powerful enchantment. But finally, 3 minutes later,
Really, she was just distracted thinking about
if you don't
Tyrannus.
critically fail, you can keep trying. That one's spelled out specifically. Normally in second edition, you can't retry things. It's balanced like if you try to disable device a lock and you fail, it's just you're not good enough to pick that lock. But identifying items specifically allows you to continue retrying unless you have critically failed. But even then, you can continue retrying the next day.
Incidentally,
So,
that's like one of the best feats I've ever spent on. I love that so much.
1
It's
minute
so
identify is
good.
pretty spicy. So it does still take you 3 minutes while everyone is mostly bandaged up and getting their things back together, and you're trying to make sure your armor's not going to fall off of you. And
Well,
you
we're going to be
mourn
in
the
here
loss
for a
of
few
your hat.
minutes looking for
I would-
arrows.
You're scrounging up arrows.
I would start refocusing if nobody looks like they're moving.
Yeah, you can refocus.
Reload.
But you would be able to identify that this was the most mundane of enchantments on this Warhammer, simple lesser potency. It is a +1 Warhammer.
Well, my hammer-wielding friend.
Well, you know what would be real cool here is I've got this owlbear talisman here. At some point, I'd love to transfer this over to this new weapon.
Well, I could do that for you while you handle your administrations.
Sure. I ain't
So,
gonna say
yeah,
no.
while you spend 10 minutes praying to Iomidai and refocusing after your victorious battle, Dalren will spend that time transferring the magic of the talisman to your new fancy hammer, which is almost literally just a block of iron with an iron pole coming out of the bottom.
That's the kind of
And a
efficiency.
squared pummel at the bottom with a ring in the middle of the grip. The grip had once wound around, but you're literally just holding a rounded dissolved tang. So,
While
Called
she's
efficiency.
doing that, I'll refocus as well.
okay.
So what is this hammer exactly? Do I just?
It is a +1 warhammer, so it's not striking. It's just +1 to attack rolls. It's just
and damage or just attack?
just attack rolls. Damage is striking in second edition, which gives you more dice instead of just a flat +1. But it will give you a +1. I don't think the warhammer has does it have shove?
Yeah.
Then you would
Warhammers
also.
naturally do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you would also get +1 to shove attempts with the hammer. Like anything you're doing with the weapon, you get a +1. That's the
It's
enhancement
a
bonus.
craft check to transfer the talisman.
I'm pretty sure you can just do it. It's not a rune; it's a talisman.
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
craft check
It's
for
different.
weapons,
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
one.
Doing a rune would be a craft check.
It still
and
takes
would,
me 10
it
minutes
would
for
take
something to
Okay.
a while,
wind it
but
up and
yeah. Well, it's because you have
take
to
it
attune the magic to it too.
Ah, yeah.
So,
I'll just spend my 10 minutes helping Esvis look
so you
for
guys
arrows.
pick up arrows, and after 20 minutes or so,
Severin's really not helping because he keeps trying to pick up the arrows too, and he's kind of running around the room with them because he sees that they're shiny and you want them.
so you have a raven having a great time helping collect arrows around the room as you do things. And after this 20 minutes here in this room, Tyrannus is standing on the other side of the chamber from where the pool of gel would be coating the floor, just kind of leaning against the wall here. The cloth that he had would still have been intact. He's collected a couple of things that were in his pouch. He's just kind of holding them in one hand. Well, I hate to ask this, but I find myself lacking a place to store such things.
Oh, I have a spare.
Do the boggarts have any bags or satchels?
They don't really. They just kind of have weapon sheaths. They didn't have any pouches to bring anything along with
I
them.
have a spare.
I have a spare belt pouch in my adventurer's pack.
I would wonder what situations you would think you would need a spare belt pouch, but I suppose, and she gestures vaguely to the room as a whole, that we have found it, so I am not one to question your foresight.
It's a fine question, actually. It just sort of came in a bundle when I was getting it at the general store, and there
Oh, a
were 2
discount
belt
deal, I
pouches in it.
understand.
I must have been it.
I dare say many of our signifiers could stand to learn from your divinations, but thank you, Doran. He takes and affixes it to his belt and puts his things back in there. puts the cloth away.
The same cloth. Is it cleaner now at least because it
It's
dissolved
probably
his own
cleaner at
blood
this
out
point,
of it?
yeah. It's now a cleaner cloth. At the end of the day, I suppose I should thank this creature. It didn't cause me that much harm. At this point, his face is largely just bandages. Wrapped around his face, like he's almost half mummified now.
The Invisible Man.
But,
Bandages fix
and
everything.
he has a few wrapped around his wrists where his gauntlet meets his wrist guards. But
It's done wonders for his
did a
complexion.
fantastic job of cleaning my armor. It is good to know that services are still available in the armories, even in the most forsaken of Hell Knight citadels.
Well, it didn't do much for most of the stuff in here.
Did you
Looking
just
around
make
at
a
all the rusted
joke?
equipment.
I've made several.
Wow.
They were good too.
Yeah.
Doc is spectacular.
He has a hellish sense of humor. It's hard to understand
I
sometimes.
do not make those jokes because they are terrible. But if that is your bar, I can understand you. Miss.
I suppose we should get out of this room.
There doesn't seem to be anything else here, and certainly no sign of your signet ring.
Nothing that I see here. It would take some time to suss through all of this rubble, but I can't
still
imagine it
have
would have wound up in an armory.
We still have
And-
another portion of the vaults to check.
Yeah, and he reaches out. You're the closest person to him and claps a hand on your shoulder.
That's my head.
Puns
You gotta
are,
go a little lower.
puns are a sign of a simpleton, my friend. You would do well to refine your craft.
Oh, but they bring me joy. That's what matters in a joke, is making someone smile, right?
It's the small things in life.
Exactly.
And he just kind of raises an eyebrow. But only your own. And though a
his.
priest may not know of them, there are plenty of other ways to put a smile on your own face.
You know, it's rude to point out his shortcomings.
I hate all of you.
So about that other room, yes, maybe to the north, perhaps. It seemed well traveled, but at least we can check to make sure they're clear of cultists.
These armories are usually deflated. I imagine the other wing of this will be duplicated. Perhaps there's more there of value, but I would not be surprised if it was similarly looted.
Hopefully
enough.
there are no,
Another
yeah, hopefully no
evil
cubes.
cube, yeah, on the other side.
I don't know much of these creatures, but do they live in colonies? Would they have stayed together? Do they mate?
Do I know any of that?
How do these things reproduce? They appear to just be acidic pudding.
I passed the knowledge check.
You did, and you passed the knowledge check. You
Yeah,
have
so
no
I-
idea how a gelatinous ooze reproduces. The origins of ooze biology would be beyond a simple success.
I have to say, it's not something I've given much thought to.
When a mommy ooze and a daddy ooze love each other very much, maybe. Not particularly known, I don't believe.
So
I'm
that
sure
book always
someone knows.
So Dalrin's going to scoop down and just kind of scoop up some rubble and some pebbles and just kind of take them and put him in his belt pouch. Might come in handy.
I just kind of look, what? At this point, I do not question your foresight. Dalren, you seem to see more than the rest of us.
He's very wise.
Very well.
We could take the shortcut through the top door there. It should lead back out to the main antechamber.
Oh, could you have imagined if we had used that door to come into this room?
Perhaps it could have made our lives significantly easier.
Or possibly walked directly into it.
I do not believe it was quite against the door, but it was very close.
All right,
Right.
next. What's behind door number 2?
He kind of lightly rubs the bandages on his forehead here. I do not know how much more of this we can take. I do not want to leave these cultists down here knowing of their exit, if there are even any more of them, but... We carry on. We do what we must.
If we can confirm the cultists are gone, then perhaps we will be able to take our leave of this place and rest and recover.
I have never looked so forward to a rest in my life.
It will be
Something
well
I
earned.
never believed during training would have been true later in my life, I assure you.
Since we know the rough layout, perhaps we can simply just open the door which leads to the mirrored armory and see what's there.
So I want this one right here.
Yeah,
This little wiggly door in front of you.
that little wiggly door in front of us.
And as we open up this door here, it does indeed seem to lead into another armory.
Oh my goodness.
This side of it seems to be more of the production, whereas the other side had a bunch of weapon and armor racks to hold everything, anvils and tools to maintain their gear. There are massive forges, foundries, set under the southern wall here, where they smelted the ore and do seem to have forged everything themselves. And Thrash just kind of gestures towards them. We do make largely everything ourselves. And then he is interrupted by a creature leaping out from behind a table. A small, almost snake lizard-like being here. This does not look anything like the monkeys or the boggards that you had encountered before. As a matter of fact, this is something completely and totally different. He totters forth with his hands raised up over his head, fingers extended forward like they're claws. One eye looking at you and one eye kind of cross-eyedly just looking off into the distance. He's got a very simple brown cloak drawn around himself, but he jumps out with his hands up. "We are mighty dragons! Give us your meats!" And behind him, another near identical creature, but this one red-scaled and clutching a staff, jumps up from behind the table as well with a much simpler exclamation. "Rah!" Before he starts incanting a spell.
Oh,
All right, so
cute.
So I'm going to need you guys to roll me some initiative.
But I don't want to hurt the cute
they
little
society
dragon
as well?
lizard things.
They would be society, yes.
okay. I'm not surprised they're here, but yeah.
Do you see mine?
Why do I keep on rolling the
Nat
exact
20,
same
nat
initiative?
1.
I have no idea.
Spread everyone out here. Feel free to place yourselves wherever it was that you would want to be in the room, and
Put me back. You know where I like to be.
we'll go ahead and just use these two little tiny tokens for our two little dinguses. They're about the size of the monkey, and they're not particularly large.
That good for everybody?
Yep. Resume in the doorway. This was right back behind the doorway.
I am scouting, so remember +1.
Yep, plus ones.
Estes is
for
like, there's
everyone.
probably something in there.
Hey guys, look out! Lizard folk are jumping out at us.
Again.
Hey, it's a thing. All right. So, all right. What if I start with Tyrannus? If I start with Tyrannus, do you think he'll roll better?
Nope.
No.
Natural 20, ye of little faith. Boy, Tyrannus is in there. He in there. Dalren.
Dalren actually got an 18 on the die, which goes to a, give me a minute, math hard, 25.
25. I'm gonna put you here because I've learned my lesson that someone's probably gonna beat you. 25 apparently not that high. Ruhr.
I got a 15.
Here you go, buddy. Espis.
I got a 16.
Ooh, got him. Just got a one up him.
Spicy.
Just got to show him up for. Buddy.
9.
The utter pride with what you said that. Your conviction.
Oh,
I'm here.
resume.
I got a nat 20, so that's going to be a 27.
Do you want to go first or Tyrannus?
Tyrannus can go first.
Okay. Aha,
It's
see?
his moment.
Age before beauty.
It's his moment.
How has he been going dead last so
Because I keep
consistently?
rolling 1s and 2s. Or like 7s, and you guys all roll like 15s, because he usually gets a 14 or 15, and that's last. Stupid cheaters. Alright, so... What did you have, Espis? 18?
No, I had 16.
16. Ruhr, you had 15? Alright, so the green one is right in here. And the red one... Ooh. What'd you have, Dalren?
Dalren had a 25.
25. So they're gonna go ahead and cushion Aspis in here. Alright, so Tyrannus is up first, and seeing them casting, starting to incant spells and pull something together after dealing with the doll, Tyrannus is no longer interested in playing stupid games and winning stupid prizes. So he is going to power attack. Can you just like roll above a single digit on attack today, Tyrannus? That's all. I'm not asking a lot of you, dude. Okay, it's happening. GM dice
Oh,
jail.
God.
GM Dice Jail.
GM dice jail.
Wow.
Which means your boy is coming out. So
Uh-oh.
Tyrannus is about to shine, but so is everything you
So
have to
is
fight.
everything else.
The murder D20 has made an appearance. I am sick of this one. It has failed me too many times. Today.
Layer 2 has entered the game.
Resume, Dalren, you're on deck.
Resume will come in the room so she can actually see them.
All right, where do you want to go?
Back. There we go.
I'm just kind of behind Tyrannus,
Yeah.
back to the back of the group here. And as they're casting,
She will cast forth an electric arc on both of them.
make 2 reflex saves to make DC 18, I think? Okay. I'm gonna have to go look. I'm pretty sure green fails. And I'm positive red passes. But I gotta go look because those are weird numbers. To Sabish, Jerry.
Toss an extra D20 while you're looking.
For your knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you being alphabetical. I appreciate you. It lets me do things much more easily. 1 is going to succeed, 1 is going to fail.
That's going to be 7 damage.
So the green one is going to take 7 as this electricity hits him, and the red one is going to take 3. As this kind of arcs between the two of them, they both, the red one came out with a little stick, and the green one reached back for a little knife. And as you hit him with this jolt, they both yelp. The red one drops his stick, and they immediately retreat back behind the table and hide. Crying and whimpering in pain.
That's a wise decision. I take it you feel more peaceful now?
They don't respond immediately. They're just cowering, but you can hear whimpering sounds
Oh.
coming out from behind the table, where they are both now just kind of cuddled up behind the desk, hiding. The red one peeping over the top,
Can you understand
just
us?
looking. Why? More heart.
Well, I'm sorry, but you wanted to turn us into meat and eat us.
And a green claw comes right behind it. No, we want your meats.
Oh, you just want something to eat?
At that, both heads just up a little further from behind the table.
Oh,
Well,
Yes.
sure. Why didn't you just say that?
I've got a spare ration here. I can go
Me
ahead and spare
too.
something. Yeah.
To be fair, this place is full of death and danger, so
How long have you guys been trapped down here?
So you kind of taking the lead here. Make me a diplomacy check.
Finally. This is my first diplomacy.
This is my moment. Session 5-1 diplomacy check.
Okay. That's gonna be a 20.
Pretty good. So as Dolrin starts kind of pulling out some rations, I imagine Esphus comes into the room here as
Yes.
well. The 2 kobolds slowly sidle out around the table, one after the other. Each of them, even as they go around the corner, still keeping their little clawed hands up on the table and inching their way down it. This is the side of the table that is facing into the room. It's not cover at all. They're wholly exposed to you. But they're inching down very cautiously, just kind of looking towards you and your bag, which is 8 feet away from them. And the red one looks down at it. Give us your meat.
I'll give them some jerky.
The one in the front, the green one is the closest to you, would reach out and take it and just shove his entire fist almost in his mouth with his enthusiasm to start eating this. And as you go to hand a piece towards the red one, the green one jumps in front of it, grabs it, and puts it in his mouth too. Just gobbling. And at this, as he takes his second one, the red one, angry, just dives on him, and they just start going at it like a pile
I
of
have
puppies over
more.
these tiny
Stop
pieces
it.
of jerky.
When they were reaching out very slowly, could I see if any of them were wearing cultist badges?
Not that you can see, no. They are both just wearing, they have little metal bracers and a very simple brown robe drawn around each of them, and don't appear to have anything beyond that. No
Metal.
bags, no robes, nothing.
Metal bracers or shackles?
Well, it looks like bracers is not exactly correct. The red one has one
Okay.
that it looks like he probably found somewhere that he just has on his wrist that he likes. And the green one has it was either a ring or an earring, a small piece of basic metal jewelry, just set on top of one of his curved little horns he has coming out of the back of his head. And they're still just going nuts over these pieces of jerky.
I'll keep feeding them.
Just keep throwing jerky down. They're just gonna
So
go
then,
bananas.
why do these ones speak common?
Because they're not the same as the other ones.
Oh.
And at that, the green one pipes up with a hand again. We are mighty dragons.
I can see that. You're very intimidating.
Can I have the recall knowledge check?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and let you throw this.
So since these are
Okay.
dragons, do you know a whole lot about these ones?
That's a 12.
With a 12,
Do I know what their race is called?
you would. They're common enough, I would say you could probably recognize a kobold, but you don't really know anything about them.
Does Dragon
Since-
Lore get me anything?
They are, well, yeah. Go give me a dragon lore. Give me a dragon lore.
Oh,
I'm the
no.
worst dragon scholar
A
ever.
natural one.
All right, so I don't know a ton about them, but these are kobolds, and they're definitely not cultists from the looks of them.
At this
Nonsense.
point-
They said they were mighty dragons. They very well may be in disguise. Please, noble sirs, and he'll actually switch to draconic. Please, welcome to these hallowed halls. We don't mean to disturb you, kind sirs. Let us please offer you food. And he's giving food to these things, which he is not entirely convinced are not dragons in disguise.
I
And,
think this is what happened to the cultists too.
They both kind of looking at you as you're talking, almost sort of in awe. They just look at each other. They look back at Dalren,
Did I get my pronunciation wrong?
and the green ones. Why aren't you killing us?
Because he wants to
Draconic
recruit
are
you.
coming.
He needs page boys, people to help him.
The red one sort of pokes the green one,
Looks like that's an option.
like a little, just sort of touching him. Zerk, they're not frogs. Zerk kind of turns to the red one. They're not frogs, but they look like long monkeys. The monkeys were mean too.
I'm gonna
Well, we're
peek
not
out
mean.
from behind people. Long monkeys.
And Zerk would just jump up, startled, and exclaim, "That was the monkey!" and runs back behind the table. And the red one's just kind of looking. He's the size of the monkey, but he doesn't look like a monkey.
I think I may be mistaken as to what I thought these things were.
He does eat bananas.
These are definitely kobolds.
And so the red one just kind of looks up at you. So, you speak the weird word, but you're not with the monkey frogs.
Oh, they speak Draconic as well as Mwangi. We may have a way to communicate with our prisoners,
And the
assuming they're still there.
Zerk pops his head up from behind. Those are words.
I think that any language that's not common is going to sound the same to them.
I have an idea. In Orcish, to the kobolds,
That's a good point.
I'm going to say, "How is the meat?"
And they're just kind of look at you. Did Zerk still behind the table? We don't speak monkey frog.
So they very clearly understood you.
I'll try goblin.
Equally,
We're gonna scare them.
equally confused by Goblin. You keep doing what seems to be talking, but it's not words that they know, and they have no idea what you're saying.
Would you
But they
like
don't really appear to be able to tell the difference between languages that they don't know.
That's fair.
They just call it all monkey frog.
So, Darn will come up. So, we'll give you more food, but you have to answer our questions. Deal?
And the red one who's closest here nods
Okay.
fervently, very attentive.
Those monkey frogs, how many were there?
Can I ask Zerk?
Yes.
Zerk! Zerk is still like 5 feet away behind the table peeping. He's right there. What? How many monkey frogs were there? There were a bunch of monkey frogs. And the robot turns back down. There were a bunch of monkeys.
He's gonna
Literally
nod.
just repeats exactly
He's
the
gonna
same
nod and hand a piece of food over. Thank
And
you.
he takes it, and that Zerk comes on all fours, just scampering out from behind the table up next to it. What do I have to throw on meat?
All right. Were they looking for anything, the monkey frogs?
Meat.
No, what were the monkey frogs looking for?
Oh.
You have to tell me. And you have to be right.
Sniggles. And Sniggles at this point is just eating all this meat here. Sniggles. What were the monkey frogs looking for? And Sniggles kind of looks up at him at this point, having already basically inhaled this. Just looks around totally vacantly, like basically looks like he's thinking really hard, and he has to physically like roll his eyes back and forth and move his head to do this. And Sniggle said, I'm sticking with meat. Is this the trick question?
I feel like they don't know
I think
hardly anything.
I don't think they know anything either.
Would you like to leave? How did you get caught down here?
Yeah, where are you guys from? You don't.
We are
seem
from here. We are mighty dragons. This is our lair.
They wrote it on the wall.
They've
We
been
are-
to our lair. And Zerk just says, oh, they know who we are. They know we're mighty dragons. And Sniggles just nods. We are mighty dragons. That was our lair. It was our lair. The monkey frogs chased us out of our lair.
So you were down here before the monkey frogs
Yes.
with the small green things.
The Bumble Brothers.
Yes.
Yes.
So you know them.
Answer the question. I get meat.
His questions. My questions are different.
I'll give him.
I have granola.
So he takes a piece of meat.
I have
from Resume.
I'll hand them a
And
granola
then
bar.
Sniggles continues eating what Resume gave him, and then Zerk very attentively is standing there still waiting.
So you know the Bumble Brashers, and
Yes.
you've been down here.
That was 2 questions.
That's not the question. That's me asking myself.
Those were questions.
No. This is the question.
And he just kind of looks down at Sniggles, and Sniggles already swallowed whatever Resume gave at his point. That sounded like question.
How long have you been down here?
Sort of look at each other again. Zerk and Sniggles putting their cooperative 5 brain cells together to try and come up with the correct answer. Hold on. And Zerk technically there kind of turns around and turns Sniggles around with them, and they put their snouts almost literally side by side and just start babbling very quickly in common. It's almost impossible to pick up.
1 gold, they say a while.
And Zerk
I'll take
No
that bet.
Zerk turns back around. We have a question.
Do we
Are
get
you going
meat
to
if
give
you
me
answer
meat?
it?
Are there numbers bigger than 100?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
they've been down here a while. Here's a granola bar.
Mighty dragons eat meat.
I don't have meat.
I'll
They
give
have
them some
meat.
more.
So you give them some more, and they take it and just kind of split it among themselves. They seem to be slowing down and kind of calming down at this point.
I guess Dalren is gonna let Resume handle them, and I'm just gonna start just going through the room to see if I can find anything. interesting.
Tyrannus is just standing there. Like, he pulled his halberd back when he missed the swing before they retreated, and it's just he hasn't moved since this has
He's
started.
just disbelieving.
He's just disappointed. Like,
I'll walk up next to him, pat him on the shoulder. You see, this is why we don't swing first. You see what I'm saying here? There's good in everyone.
These are very clearly friends of the Bumble Brashers. We can't hurt them. We just need to take them outside when we're done. They'll sort themselves out.
well, clearly I see that now.
Yeah.
But
I appreciate you not cleaving them into.
Tyrannus, if you had been a bit slower. You're not by yourself.
I don't understand anything anymore. Very well.
There has
I will search this room for anything of interest while you negotiate with our new allies. And turns.
I will assist you in that endeavor.
turns around away from
Let the two people who are good at talking to
From
people
Zerk and
deal with the
Sniggles to
kobolds.
do anything else. So, meanwhile, these two kobolds have calmed down a lot. And they stop flinching at everything. I mean, they kind of stopped doing that after you fed them, and they kind of bought into the whole we answer questions, we get food thing, which seems to be an arrangement they're 10,000% on board with. But they're confused at this point. And they ask you, Sniggles asks you, so if you are not monkey frogs, and you are not goblins, what are you doing?
We're friends of the Bumblebrashers. We came down here to figure out why they were pushed out from their home. And as a matter of fact, the Bramblebash chieftain, it's called the Halba, right?
The Halba, yeah.
Sent us down here.
And Zerk pipes up. Oh, they are child's friends. We are child's friends.
Exactly.
That's right.
Are we friends?
Yeah, of course.
That's why we didn't try to kill you.
And Sniggles again pops up. He did try to kill. He tried to hit me with his big weapon.
That was before you talked. We've encountered
No,
a lot of...
we started with talking. We talked first. We said we
No,
were
if that man over there wanted to kill you, he would be dead. He was just doing a warning shot.
And then
He didn't hit you.
Zerk, and then she electrocuted us.
That was just, just to make sure you're.
It's okay. I was gonna cast spells too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Besides, we've shared food together. That's what friends do.
Okay. I thought friends just lived in the same place and didn't kill each other.
That is also something
That
friends
is
do.
something friends do.
That is called a neighbor.
Friends. Yep.
Do you still have your head on at this point?
Yes.
What's left of it.
Left of your head.
Would
So you just kind of look up at whatever's on your head and look back at you. Are you the king?
Sure. Well,
And that's
And,
the queen.
Sniggles slaps Zerk, very excited. The king head. You're the king.
I'm not sure if king is the correct term here, but I do have a hat.
He is not a king.
Now, shush. Don't be jealous over there, Tyrannus.
And Sniggles, no. That's the king hat. The king hat, or the circle hat, fit. And they're that color mostly.
Where have you seen those?
I take it off. Nod.
And it has a hole in the top.
Put it back on.
It's a circle. That's the king hat. He has a king hat too.
Yeah.
Are you all the kings?
He's got a tiara.
He points
is
at
what we call it.
Doran.
Where have you seen these hats?
And Zerk. Pictures. That was the question.
Can you show us?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a long journey.
We'll follow you.
So he looks at Sniggles, and Sniggles looks at him. There's a long journey down here.
Is it across that room, pointing back at the large room between the...
No. It is not the path. But if the monkey frogs are still here, can you fight them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you sure seen that Tyrannus man, didn't you? He's a spook fellow.
Okay. It will take you.
In the time it took them to talk and work that out, did we find anything in the room?
Maybe a perception check there, search boy.
That's a 15.
This room is much less ransacked as it was mostly raw materials and things for crafting, so most of the tables and the various racks are still against the walls where they go, and what was there still has largely been pinched, but it hasn't been thrown asunder like the standing armory for loot. And you do actually find 3 jars of Lesser Alchemist's Fire.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Probably some raw hunks of iron. No value, just hunks of iron.
Zerk and Sniggles kind of approach the party, and this has gotten Tyrannus' attention because somewhere appears to be going. This appears to be going somewhere. They look over the group of you, and
Yes, we're about
Sniggles.
to follow them.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you prepared for our journey?
Yes.
And then Zerk puts his hands up, wiggles his little clawed fingers a bit. It is far to the furthest reaches of our lair.
Okay.
Okay.
She'll take her earrings off and she'll give one to each of them. This is to show you're with us.
And they each take one. They look at each other. And they trade. And they look at the earrings in their hand. And then Sniggle steals Zerk's and hands him the other one again. And then they trade back one more time. And then both of them put one on top of their little horns on their head.
Before we journey
We take
off,
this tribute. You have paid your proper respect to the dragons.
Mm.
You may walk safely in our lairs.
Thank you.
Definitely mistaken when I thought I knew what they were.
And Zerk, again, as Sniggle says that, puts his hands up a closer. You are friend of dragons.
Mm. Thank you.
Yes, this was.
I'm sorry. The ring that's currently around Zerk's horn.
Whichever one I said, yes.
I'm gonna say Zerk.
Believe.
So the one that's around Zerk's horn. Does it look like a signet ring?
It does not look like a signet ring, and surely Tyrannus would. If it looked like anything he was after, he would have been like, all right, give me that. But
Fair enough.
It looks like it was either a piece of armor, like a link connecting a strap, or it's literally just an iron ring. It's not even like a jewelry ring. It is like a ring shape of worked metal,
Fair.
just perched on his horn. And now much further up is this little earring, just kind of right on top of it. So, Sniggles and Zerk walk up to this northern door here. Step forward and pull it. And pull it. And Sniggles pulls harder and stops, and they both debate amongst themselves. Quietly, next to the door. Before Sniggles backs out of the way and Zerk steps up to the handle. Pulls on the door with all of his little golden might, and it doesn't open.
Does the door swing the other way?
Let's kind of look at you. Look at the door, and he pushes the door and it opens.
I really, really like them.
And the two of them quickly scamper through the doorway. And then one of them, Zerk, called out, wait a moment. And Sniggles scratches his head. Oh, right. This was far from Odler. It's right here from here. And he points
Right
up.
here from here.
You're in another one of these antechambers with more portraits, just like what was on the other side, but this one appears to be a lot more damaged. None of these look like they could be of any kind of value. You can't even make out what most of them are. But one that is on the ground, that is completely fallen down from its frame, laying sideways, has about a third of it together, with a depiction of some kind of a king or a prince or something who is gesturing to whatever the rest of the portrait once depicted in front of him. And Sniggles and Zerk both run up and both point at it together, where Sniggles turns back around to this. The Bumble Brother with Helba. Tiel, no. With the other goblin. And Zerk says, no, I'm pretty sure it was Tiel. And Sniggles, no, it was the other goblin. It was... No, I'm pretty sure it was Tiel. No, it was... No, you're right, it wasn't Tiel. It was the warble. The warble that goes to the town? Right, it was the warble that goes to the town. The one that talks to... You're the Longshanks! And Zerk just stands up straight. Oh, they're the Longshanks.
It's actually a really cool name for our group.
The long shit.
Let's not.
They're just the two
I'm pretty sure that
mighty
that's
dragons
the way.
look at each other and just nod very rapidly back and forth. They must be the kings. They have the crown. They're the kings of the Longshanks. I didn't know the Longshanks had a bunch of kings. They have two kings. How did they get two kings? We don't have any kings. And Sniggles rights himself up. Still very hunched, but attempts to take a much more regal posture. Yes, one of the two kings of the Longshanks. Whichever, really. I don't know that it matters. Would you like to be the king of the mighty dragons? We do not have a king.
This man right here is very knowledgeable in dragons. He actually knows all about dragons. He would really be up for the task here.
You are
So,
perfect, Master.
Zerk puts up a finger. Wait. And totters over to Dalren and looks very, very up at you because he's only about 2.5 feet tall. They're very small little creatures.
I'll cast light behind his head.
He just kind of puts a hand up in front of his face. If you know about the dragons, you must pass the test of the dragons.
Okay. It's just bemusing me. I'm just, oh, sure.
Where is the dragon's lair? Where they keep their mighty horde?
High on the mountain in the cave.
No.
At the base of the plume of
It's
smoke.
around that corner.
Oh,
You have
your
failed.
mighty
He
dragons.
does not know dragons. We want that one. And he points at Buford. And Sniggle says, yes.
I've been
By
had.
default, that one shall be our king.
I've been had.
Well, all
Darn
good,
looks dejected.
And I move the light.
all good kings need a council, and being another king, we'd have twice the power of kings.
No, Buford. No, Buford. I've failed in this. You're just trying to make me feel better.
You just need to be the queen. You have the tiara, just be the queen of the dragons.
And both the kobolds just kind of look up at you. Sort of confused. Sort of curious. Now in much more spirits, their energy returning, but now from frantic, not less frantic flight and more, they have been fed and things are happening and they're excited.
Can you tell us what lies to the down the left passage from here, across from where your lair was, your old lair?
And, well, Sniggles replies to you. Zerk turns towards the door, puts both his hands in front of him, and slowly raises them up kind of in front of him. But he doesn't really have thumbs, he just kind of has 4 claws, so he puts one claw out kind of to the side. Like he's like trying to pose for a picture, basically. He's trying to look at his hands, raises one, and then shakes his head, and then raises it back and thinks. Well, Sniggles replies, the left is the Deadlands. The Deadlands is beyond our domain.
Can you take us?
Maybe.
We'll protect you, and you can protect us, and maybe that land can become yours.
Well, there's nothing of value to Mighty Dragon in the Deadlands. Just, there's a lot of dead.
Are they bodies, or are they walking?
No, they're in boxes.
Okay,
They
that's
have,
where we need to go.
And, so at this point, Zerg turns back around. Left! Yes, that is the Deadlands. The Deadlands is just full of dead. Sniggles is right.
I'm going to go grab Sniggles' staff that he dropped and left in the other room.
He
and
definitely just left it there.
And just grab it and just slowly, actually just bring it back to him and just hand it over.
And it's like a little, it's only like this long.
It's like one of the broken chair legs from the main
It's pretty much, yeah. His staff, it looks like a gnarled root that's particularly thick. And it's not even been cleaned off. It still has, like, in various recesses, bits of dirt and whatever from where he got it. But the top of it has been worn somewhat smooth by his scaly hands holding onto it for so long. As you bring it back to him, Zerk that dropped the staff, looks up. I found my staff.
Mm-hmm.
Sniggle, they found my staff. Sniggle, yeah, he did in fact find your staff. It's staff that we lost. I did lose it. I lost it almost 5 minutes ago. I was sure it was gone.
If you'll take us into the Deadlands, we'll give you a lot more food.
But, and at this point, Zerk reaches out with both hands, bowing his head to receive the staff. And Sniggles replies to resume, but there's nothing in the Deadlands. There's nothing in there that we would need.
But I have more food to give to you if you'll take us there as
All right.
payment.
So we'll go to the Deadlands. But there's nothing in the Deadlands. It's just boxes and rocks.
There
Well,
are
the-
secrets there.
The big guy with the stick that tried to hit you, he wants to go there and look around for a ring. So we need to go everywhere down here and try and find it.
And they both kind of turn to look at Tyrannus, and Tyrannus is just standing in the doorway here.
Disappointed at life.
Puts up his hands, he goes a brief jazz hands. Expression unchanging. That is me. Searching through the Deadlands of the Mighty Dragons for an ancient ring of legends.
That's the spirit.
Now we're talking.
And Sniggles and Zerk look at each other again.
Hand
Zerk,
over the- yeah.
Zerk takes the staff. Puts his head up, but now he's just holding the staff in front of him the entire time. And I don't think there are any rings of legends in the Deadlands. There's not anything in the Deadlands. There's boxes and there's dead people in them. We tried to look once. The Bumble Brothers had to help us open them because they're very heavy.
Well, we're gonna go anyway.
Wait, you opened one?
And Sniggles turns and nods. Yes, we wanted to know what was in there, and the Bumble Brothers wanted to know what was in there, so we had to check. You know, there's so many boxes. There's like, are there numbers bigger than 100? That many boxes.
Tyrannus, if they opened one, wouldn't that...
And Tyrannus sighs. Trigger the necromantic wards. How long ago? I'm not
They
gonna
don't know.
answer that question. Well, things are starting to come together, at least. If one of the crypts were disturbed, well, what did you do after you opened this box in the Deadlands, mighty dragons? What did you do with the dead? And Sniggles just shakes his head and kind of shrugs. Nothing. What we're supposed to do with the dead? That's growth meat. I don't want that.
So you just opened it, looked in the box, and didn't touch it?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
And the Tyrannus shakes his head a bit confused. That should not trigger anything. If they did not attempt to move the undead or steal anything from the crypts, they would not have activated. At least to my knowledge. The citadel is ancient, but still, it's only, what, a few, maybe a century, perhaps two? If that, it's not that old. The magics could not have changed that much in that time. Without actually
possible-
disturbing the dead, that should not have caused any troubles. Did you
Possible
replace
that
the
the
lid?
cultists might have. Seeing an open crypt, they might have come poking around.
Perhaps.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
We'll have to investigate.
Let's be sure.
Yep. Off to the Deadlands we go.
Come, mighty dragons, guide us to the Deadlands.
And they just kind of look at each other again, and Sniggles says, "All right, we will guide you to the Deadlands, but I do feel obligated to tell you there is nothing in the Deadlands, and there is certainly not any legendary rings. It's just full of dead and dead boxes, and lots and lots and lots of those boxes. They're like regular boxes that you would put meats in, but they're just full of dead people, which is kind of meat, but it's way too dead, and it's mostly just bones."
Okay.
That's fine.
That's
Humor
fine.
us.
Yeah.
And Zerk, Bill just kind of holding the staff in front of him. Goes to do his wavy hands things. "We!" And he raises the staff up and hits himself in the chin. Just rubs the place of his snout, holding the stick over his head. "The stick is cursed! Sniggles! They cursed the stick!" And Sniggles looks at it and seeing him whack himself with this and looks up to Esvis. "Did you curse the stick?"
No.
He can't curse things.
Now, Esvis, he's a real good man right here. You'd be surprised. He may have just made it a little bit more so it's better at fighting. So if you come across anything else,
It did hit him pretty good.
It's better at fighting.
And Zerk still goes, "It did hit me pretty good."
Oh.
so he's really just helping you out by giving you your stick back.
Okay. We will guide you to the Deadlands.
All right.
And Zerk very cautiously looks at his stick and goes to raise his hands and stops and looks at his stick. Goes to raise his hand and stops and looks at his stick. Then just does the wiggly claw thing at about shoulder level. Now terrified of raising the stick past his own snout for fear that he might whack himself like the dumb idiot he is. And these two kobolds join along with you. They take you back out into this hallway.
Completely off screen.
To the original area where you'd entered in the first place down here. And stop just before the centermost of the three passages on the opposite side here. And gesture towards the tunnel. The Sniggle says, "The journey is complete. We have traveled to the Deadlands." You've left one room and gone to the next room. These are the Deadlands before us.
Man, you guys are great guides. I appreciate all you do for us.
I guess let's go take a look in there.
And so Zerk pipes up, These are not in our domain. Mighty dragons do not travel beyond the bounds of their territory.
Mighty
Yeah.
dragons travel where they want.
Before we
But I don't want to go to the Deadlands.
Oh, that's fair enough then.
before we go to the Deadlands, should we perhaps go see if the couple of cultists we tied up speak Draconic?
Can't
And
hurt.
Tyrannus is face still covered in bandages here, hiding his now canon glorious mustache.
Wait, would he still have the mustache?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, here's.
No, I might have burned the mustache off.
It's
Oh.
impervious.
No, it's
It could be
impervious.
like it could be shortened
A
significantly and
mustache so
scraggly.
glorious surely would not be defeated by a single
No, it
dragon.
has
He has so
it has
much
plot
wax.
immunity.
It's
He has-
definitely going to take more than like 15 acid damage to burn the mustache off of his face.
He waxes his mustache, so it actually has an acid-proof coating on
There
it.
you go. The wax is not something a gelatinous cube would actually dissolve. He raises a hand. I do not want to be the one protesting here, but these if the walls are tripped, there may be much. Yeah, again, not a signifier. I don't know the specifics. I don't know what will happen. Are we still in state to handle this?
No, I think we should go make camp outside.
Well, what we need to do is we need to make sure that there's no more cultists. If we can just go down these hallways, there should be doors at the end of them. We can listen to see if we hear any cultists behind them. If they went any further, the ward's probably tripped and they may have befallen the same fate that the puppet room
I
did.
don't know the layout of these areas, but I can. Yeah. That doll in the ballroom, that was nothing compared to a trained tactical platoon fighting in unison with the weapons they are interred with to defend the crypts. That doll killed 2 of the buggers. The wards are active. I would stake my life. There are no cultists still alive in there.
Then let us assume the worst, that is the case, and I suggest we find a safe spot and fully recuperate.
Indeed,
It's a good idea.
I need a decent meal and a good night's sleep,
We
or I'm
can
just gonna topple over.
We can stay here, perhaps. If the cultists are still around, we can deal with them if they reveal themselves. If
Well,
they are
if we-
not, it is safe.
If we go outside, if we go through that trapdoor here and go outside, then someone keeps watch. They'd have to come out single file anyways.
We could also take the cultists and our new mighty dragon friends here back up to camp out with the goblins so that we don't have to worry about it and just close the door behind
And
us.
Zerk peeps up. Up top is Bumblebear's territory. We do not intrude on
Yeah,
the
they may want to
Bumblebear's
stay down here.
territory.
Actually, they seem awfully comfortable.
Oh, we could leave them. That's fine.
I'm-
That's what they want to
So
do.
Sniggles. So, question for the twin kings of the mighty dragons. Can we go back to our lair?
By all means, man.
Is our horde safe?
Yes,
Did they steal the horde?
they may
Yeah.
have stolen the horde.
We have stolen the horde. And Zerk puts his hands up very dramatically over his eyes, which are on opposite sides of his head, so it actually looks kind of hilarious. And
As-
just
Was your horde a bunch of spoons?
Small shinies.
had many tiny. And Zerk, his hands still distraught over his eyes.
I'm
We
gonna-
had many tiny.
I'm gonna
They
give
might
them,
still be there.
I'm gonna
Go-
give
you
them
should go
5
check.
silver pieces each.
And
Here's some new shinies.
To replenish the horde.
Sniggles is gonna look. He's gonna take these pieces. He's gonna look at them completely in awe. He's gonna reach over and physically pull one of Zerk's hands off of his eyes. And put the other 5 silver in Zerk's hand.
Look at how generous this little man is.
You just
That
gave
you-
him a
Hath come
ton of
true.
cash.
As Zerk looks up, the prophecy has come true. And Sniggles looks down, the prophecy has come true.
What prophecy?
The ancient prophecy
Of the shinies.
of the mighty dragons. That one day we would find more shiny things to put in our horde.
I'm glad I was able to fulfill the prophecy.
You're more than welcome to go back to your old horde. It's all set up
Do you
for
think
you.
they're the chosen ones? I don't know. They might be the chosen ones. They
I
fulfilled
mean,
the
do you
prophecy.
see my hat?
They are also kings. Do you see the hat? They
Do
are.
you see his hat? There's 2 hats.
They just kind of look up at you. Are you mighty dragons? Are long shanks like bigger dragons?
There are those who would argue that that's the case.
Yes, we are.
And both of them together, almost as one, just take off towards this northern tunnel, back towards the area where you rested, just screaming at the top of their lungs. It's not words anymore, it's just sound. It seems excited, almost kind of like a battle cry, I suppose.
Is it like terrified, frantic, belated joy?
It's more just like a really high-pitched, continuous, just shriek.
So they're just reeing.
As they just run off, each of them, their hands clasped around their silver pieces in front of them, sprinting down the hallway.
I have to admit, that was a really cheap price to give them their dream.
Yeah.
I had cheaper shiny stuff around. I feel like silver
Yes, for
coins
only a
was-
full gold piece, you fulfilled that prophecy. You also chosen one, after all.
I've known that for a while.
I suppose before we head out of here to camp, let's go talk to those cultists real quick.
Sure.
We may have to bring them with us, if they're still there.
And so you guys can certainly make your way back up into that chamber, and as you arrive back there, you would see your cultist friends are, in fact, still kind of bound up in tent and canvas. They don't appear to have managed to get free. You have tied them up pretty good, nor do they really feel like they're trying particularly hard. Regardless, going back in to meet with them, I believe, is where we will end today's session. Next week we'll figure out how exactly we want to rest, what we want to do with that, how we want to prepare ourselves to head into the Deadlands.
Now we are noble heroes and noble monarchs.
And noble dragons.
And mighty dragons.
To face potentially a whole bunch of undead Hell Knights
An
and
undead
necromantic wards that could just be a general purpose bad situation. So first of all, massive apologies to everyone in the chat that the internet lagged out so bad there at the end. I hope that did not completely break the stream for most of you. I am fully aware that it completely crashed down, but it did not wholly and utterly disconnect to the point where it gave up. So I'd hope it kept running for most of you. But again, one of the biggest downsides of this table is I don't have as easy a way to see exactly what's happening with the setup. So super apologize for that. That the mighty dragons of Zerk and Shiggles had to have their moment ruined by internet. But thank you all for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you all for your support. Next week, we still have so much to discover here, Mini Citadel Altarian, where the adventure apparently truly begins. The actual quest. And facing a phalanx of reanimated Hell Knight soldiers sounds like it's going to be...
Sounds like something you want to have channel positive energy for.
Sounds like something you probably want to be level 3 for.
Probably.
So,
That'd be good.
the good news is that you will have that.
Woo!
You've reached level 3 with your journeys here under the vault so far. When we resume next week and go to find out how bad the Deadlands are truly going to be, you will at least have new powers at your disposal. Level 3 being the first, neat threshold here, does bring with it a whole lot of new toys, automatically heightening cantrips, second level spells,
Thank God.
more cool class feats. We'll figure out where exactly we're going with everybody next week. But until then, that's all for us today.
Make good choices.
Goodbye.
Make good choices, she says. Like
Like we never do.
I guess.
Set everything on fire.
Yeah, set everything on fire immediately. That's clearly our
If you
advice.
have a problem in life, just burn it.